welcome to the Horror Hangout, a podcast where film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time and talk about them. My name is Ben Errington, and I'm joined by regular co-host Mr.
Andy Conduit Turner. Hello, Ben, and indeed everybody else. How you doing?
Hello, everybody. We did advertise that Lucy was going to be a guest on this episode. However, unfortunately, she's not available. Don't know if a M3GAN's got her or not. Who knows? Maybe M3GAN's got her. I can't confirm or deny that. Maybe she's off dancing with M3GAN.
Yeah,
Are we
don't know
officially
what
saying?
she's up to.
Are we officially saying M3GAN as well? Is that officially a thing now?
I intend to be inconsistent about that as the episode proceeds. Sometimes Megan, sometimes Megan, sometimes M3GAN.
See, because I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it before, but my daughter's name is Megan. Okay, so
Because
it
you
kind
haven't
of
got
feels.
another two daughters with the same name. Otherwise, that third one.
Can you imagine? So it's a bit weird, just like saying Megan out and out, because I never really say that word. That sounds silly. Because I call her Meggie, call her Megatron. Just Meg usually. Megan is like, if she's
Big
done
trouble.
something, big trouble, yeah, but not big trouble, but just like usually with her, it's just like leaving rappers in the most random places. By rappers, I don't mean the likes of Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre and Ladies Love Cool James. I mean like chocolate and sweet rappers. Like
Megan, you've left your Cool James on the side in the kitchen again, 2 feet from the bin.
Oh God's sake! It's just rappers, sweet rappers. I get annoyed with. Oh, why have you done that? You shove them down the crevices of the sofa.
Putting them
Disgusting.
back in the celebrations packet.
Oh, see, I'm a bit of a bad person for that. I just sit there with it on my lap, and I think I can't bother to amass. I can't amass the wrappers on the side because Dennis, dog, not my son, will come and just like steal them, like intermittently. I can't do that. I know we've
I
always
guess if you're
already.
putting them in there, you're creating like a chaff. If your hand getting more chocolates is like a chocolate-seeking missile, that's like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
chaff that will deter that missile. And that, in many ways, you're hopefully providing yourself a nice surprise when you finally go to empty out and go, "Oh, these are all gone. What's that? One left.
Oh,
Oh,
oh, yeah. That's exactly what I'm doing. That's exactly the reason I'm doing it. 100%. We've already mentioned Lady Loves Cool James once on this podcast, but now mere minutes later we'll mention him again. It was his birthday.
happy birthday, James!"
Happy birthday, Cool James. If you are listening, which we know you listen to maybe one in every 3 episodes, I'm told. I don't know if that's true. Happy birthday. I hope you saw the message out on Twitter that Andy sent.
Yeah.
Did you tag him in it?
I didn't tag him in it. I thought, well,
Oh yeah,
if he's looking, it'll come across it a nice little birthday surprise for him.
don't at me is what he usually says.
I don't want his phone going off on his birthday. He might be trying to spend it with his family.
That's true.
Don't
That's
want to
true.
cause a row. He's like, "What's your phone blown up for, James?"
It's my birthday.
It's birthday messages from my friends at the Horror Hangout. And I go, "It's meant to be a family day, thanks." And that's his
Yeah,
birthday ruined. So I
put your
didn't
phone
tag him.
down. Yeah, I feel like if this is your birthday, you make the rules. If you want your phone out, it's out. You know.
You might want to
I'm
go on
just.
Twitter and pop the balloons that come up on his profile.
Can you pop them?
I think you can pop them. Yeah, if you poke them.
I never knew that.
Oh, you've just missed your birthday for this year as well.
Jesus, I'm gonna have to
It's
go
going
and
to be
adjust.
almost a year before you can try.
And I won't remember. I won't remember. I'll set a reminder on my phone now. Um, yeah. So just the two of us again, and also the first new release of 2023 that we've been covering. And what a time! What a time for a new release. I think today is officially Blue Monday, whether you're a believer in that or not, or you think Blue Monday was invented by travel companies to sell more holidays, which I think potentially it was. What a way to make yourself feel great is by watching a camp, over the top, very silly horror movie. That's fun.
But as we'll come to it as well, I think a generation's new iconic character is born.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And as I mentioned
I
on,
think I think
I think I tweeted it before. Um, as I mentioned, not just we've covered a lot of diminutive antagonists on this show, from Lena Klammer to Warwick Davis the leprechaun. Brahms, Chucky himself. We've covered all the little ones. Now we've got another little one to add to the list, the ever-growing
She's a
list.
little robot as well. I think
A little robot.
yeah, I think M3GAN is maybe one of the first in a while new horror characters. Passes a real like crossing the borders of mediums. I was watching M3GAN. I was looking at some of her moves that she pulls out in this movie, and I was thinking, I'd see M3GAN in a Mortal Kombat game. Imagine
Oh
that.
wow, okay.
Throwing
Okay.
down.
You need her, but you need Bob as well.
Oh, the Bruce, the big robot.
What did I call him?
Bob.
Bob. I've called him Bob like about 3 times since watching that film. No one's corrected me. Bruce. Sorry.
So that's
Sorry,
what I'm here
Bruce.
for.
Thank you. Thank you, Andy. What will I do without you? I guess we'll jump into some horror news because there's quite a big piece of horror news for British horror fans, but also fans of this podcast because it's an event that we've covered not once, but twice now last year. And we're going to be doing exactly the same this year. Whether we do that remotely or we do it in person, we're going to try our best to cover both events of FrightFest Glasgow in March and the main FrightFest in London in August. So the 3-day event for the Scotland FrightFest, which is returning as part of Glasgow Film Festival, has been revealed, which is very, very exciting. Lots of stuff on there for you to get your teeth into. I'm sure they're going to add more to the lineup as well, as I think they do. Have you seen it now, Andy?
I've had a quick glance. I haven't had time to fully absorb it all yet. I'm going to sit down, a little bit of bedtime reading, and go through and add some films to my watch lists. Now we're doing some covering. I might literally try and actually do some real legitimate journalistic preparation and see which films I'd be most excited to talk to the creative teams behind as well.
Yeah, so hopefully we're going to do that sort of stuff as well. Talk to some directors and writers and creative teams behind some of these films in future episodes leading up to the event. But yeah, in March, it is a 3-day event, March 9th, March 10th, and March 11th. And it looks like the main film they're kind of leading with is Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, as we know. And I think we've mentioned on this podcast at some point when this got announced, the rights for Winnie the Pooh written by someone.
A.A. Milne.
I was going to say A.A. Milne, but that didn't sound right. I feel like I would have just said it and it would have been like, you what? It's written by Dave.
J.R.R. Tolkien. Someone else who's got letters.
Yeah. So obviously they've gone, listen, the Fright Fest. Sorry, listen, Winnie the Pooh. We can do whatever we want with it. Public domain, we can do whatever we want with the character. What should you do? Just slap a Winnie the Pooh mask on someone and make a slasher movie called Blood and Honey. I've got to admit, I'm not entirely sold by it as a concept, as I wasn't when they're like, oh, you know the Grinch? Yeah, well, we made a horror film about the Grinch, like in December, whenever that came out. I was still a bit like, do you know what I mean? I'm not entirely sold by it as a premise, but willing to be convinced.
We'll have to look back at this at the end of the year when you're like, a number 1 film of the year 2023.
Yeah. I can imagine it as well.
I'll get a bump from me, Ben, because if we watch it at a festival, you look at my top 10 from last year.
Jesus, can't believe it. Yeah. All over it.
Watch it in the French language. My goodness, it'll be number 0 of 10. The highest you can get.
The tagline for Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey is, be warned, this ain't no bedtime story. I was hoping it was. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
I would have gone for the tagline of, oh, bother, because that's what he says, isn't it?
That's much better.
Then again, that might be the bit that isn't public domain, because there's, oh, bother, the Disney Winnie the Pooh, which is not in the public domain. So you can't do a Tigger in this one.
You know what I'm disappointed by? It looks like they've got a piglet, but rather than it really looking like Piglet, it's just like a big scary pig mask with big tusks. And I think you should have kept it like a little piglet mask. And B, I'm also disappointed that Winnie the Pooh isn't just a man in a red t-shirt and no bottoms. No
bottoms.
No pants, underwear, trousers, none of that. Just his tallywhacker hanging out and his little little yellow ass. on display. That would be much better, I feel like.
You want a bottomless Winnie the Pooh killer.
Yeah, I feel like because I feel like that would be actually be much more scared, like terrifying. I'd be if a man in a Winnie the Pooh mask was coming towards me, I can imagine being moderately scared. If a man in a Winnie the Pooh mask was coming towards me with no trousers on and a red t-shirt, I'd be scared tenfold, I believe.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, they might have not fallen into the trap of many Hollywood production companies and sport the best bit in the trailer. Maybe this is
Yeah,
something you'll see live on
that
screens.
that might be the best bit. Are we gonna get like a Christopher Robin type?
Christopher
Uh,
Robin's in it. It talks in the synopsis that like
oh,
can
okay.
Christopher Robin send it all around?
Is it? Oh my God.
I'm not sure he's
I
playing
don't.
Christopher Robin. We're
I
gonna
don't.
have to get ready for this before we go into the movie.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna have to. So yeah, there's that which is showing, and then other films. On Thursday, Smoking Causes Coughing. Sizu, might be saying that incorrectly. On Friday, there's hashtag Chad Gets the Axe.
Sounds great.
Interesting.
Into it.
Irati, a Spanish horror, is also premiering that day. That's a UK premiere. So some of these are international premieres, some of them are UK premieres. Mother Superior, Austrian movie, UK premiere. Pensive, Lithuanian slasher movie. Apparently, the very first Lithuanian slasher movie gets its UK premiere. On the Saturday, did I already say Saturday?
No, I
Friday.
think we're on Friday. All right.
This is all the Friday. Sorry. So Thursday was Thursday 9th of March, Friday the 10th of March. And then Saturday is Hunt Her, Kill Her. And it gets its international premiere. Onyx the Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls gets its international premiere. Little Bone Lodge, a British film, gets its world premiere. Very nice. Here for Blood, a Canadian movie, international premiere. 13 Exorcisms, one word. Spanish movie, international premiere. Consecration. I've said that correctly, haven't I? Oh, this is the only one I believe out of all of those and Winnie the Pooh that I've seen something of. This stars Jenna Malone and Danny Houston of 30 Days of Night.
Oh, there he is.
And that gets his international premiere as well. So already, what a lineup. And so the tickets for FrightFest Glasgow go on sale Wednesday, the 18th of January. That's the end of this week at 12 p.m. So set your bloody alarm. Get yourself to the FrightFest official website. And we'll stick that in the show notes. Why not? If you fancy it, but it's
Put some
FrightFest.
links in there.
FrightFest.co.uk. We're going to be involved in some way, shape, or form. So if you've enjoyed our coverage of FrightFest so far, it's going to continue. Me and Andy will be talking to creators and we'll be doing episodes on the fest as well.
We'll be getting busy and watching as many of those films as we can.
Yeah, I mean, you've already taken on the sort of watching movies, getting them all in for the what we've been watching sections, and I've been seriously lagging behind. So it's going to come easy to you. I feel like you're training for a marathon. This is what you're doing.
I
and
am,
you've done
but
that.
yeah, I am training for a marathon. I'm training. I think after last year's summer Fright Fest and the volume of films we had to get through,
Oh God, yeah.
getting used to like what I've done, Ben, is I've broken the cycle of needing to have the full time to sit and watch the entire movie. When there's volume to get through, having to make the decision of, you know what, I've got half an hour now, I will watch.
It's
And I
good.
think the secret I found there is don't necessarily use your entire 30 minutes. If there's a good break point at 25, that's where you stop it.
Yeah.
But it
20 years later.
helps you get through it. And then also just being disciplined to like go, right, I'm going to come back to the thing that I'm a little bit into and get and watch more of it before I get sidetracked with something else. But it's helping me get through a bit of that watch list, which is still obscenely long. Like I think
Yeah.
on Letterboxd, my to watch list is in excess of 600 movies, and the majority of those things are already out. There's precious few that are like, this film isn't out yet. So lots to catch up on.
Lovely. Okay. Other news apart from Fright Fest. God, I always do that to me. I always get a bit my tongue tied when I try to say it, Andy. Flight Fest. Also, Chucky has officially been renewed for season 3. I'm sure you saw that news.
I did.
Incredibly popular show. Still, unfortunately, a show that I've not even started.
Well, I'll
Whereabouts are
tell you
you?
what, Ben. If you're
Go on.
commercial free wise, Chucky season 1 has only just turned up on Shudder, hasn't it?
Oh, has it?
Yeah, it's on
Oh
there
my
now.
God. Didn't even
You
know that.
can
Brand new,
if you
brand
if
spanking.
you if you didn't catch it on, I think it ran on Sci-Fi. If you haven't caught it on Sci-Fi, the Sci-Fi channel on Freeview on the UK, now available on Shudder for all of your watching pleasure, advert free.
I'm glad it's doing well, you know. I need to go and check it out, but I'm glad it's doing well because is you always get the worry of these things that what if it gets cancelled? But maybe just the fact that it's the networks it's on is showing why is given a chance and also finding its audience as well. Um, this is good. This is good. This is exciting. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to checking it out. Sorry. Maybe, do I wait until we've got 3 whole seasons to get through like a greedy guts?
You could join
Maybe.
me, Ben. Actually, like spoilers a little bit for the what we've been watching section, but inspired by a week of diminutive killers and the news that season 3 of Chucky is coming, kicked off season 2 this week. I watched the first episode,
Oh, nice. On it.
so I've started
Um,
season 2.
we've got some more um TV horror franchises being made into TV shows news here. I'll start off by saying, obviously, last week was Friday the 13th, and as always, the horror community bands together in celebration of Jason Voorhees, or Mrs. Voorhees, or both. You don't have to be exclusively one
Just
or
the
the other.
Voorhees family.
Just the Voorhees family to come as a package. I watched a Jason movie. Did you watch any Jason?
You know what? I didn't watch any Jason, but for me, Friday the 13th is every day of the year. So
I see what you
it's
mean. So you're a man who bad luck doesn't exist for. You make your own luck.
exactly, make your own luck. And I see Jason in the smile of every child, the song of every bird. I walk down the street and I hear the birds, and I don't hear the tweeting that you might hear. I hear the
Yeah.
sound.
Yeah. Me too. So the news about is the Crystal Lake TV show. Apparently Kevin Williamson, obviously screenwriter who wrote Scream, and he's got a new movie out as well called Sick, which I think has only just come out, which is already on my watch list because apparently it's all right. I don't even know if it's by saying all right feels like I'm doing it a disservice. Apparently it's good. And also the original Friday the 13th final girl, Adrienne King, will have a recurring role. Whether she will be playing her character from that movie or not, I don't know. But yeah, that's exciting. The fact that they're both involved, horror royalty, horror alumni. Very, very exciting.
Yeah, I'm interested what the Friday the 13th series is going to be like. I'm absolutely going to be checking it out though.
Hell yeah, 100%. And that is pretty much it for news. The only other bit I wanted to mention, literally just now because I remembered, is a new movie called. I don't want to butcher the title, so feel free if you've heard it said out loud. Skinamarink.
No, I have not heard it. I will take that pronunciation though.
Okay, Skinamarink. Do you know much about this?
No, not a sausage.
Not a sausage. Okay, so this has just been released in the US in various theaters. It is a Shudder original, so I'm hoping we're going to get it
Pretty
at
quick,
some point,
sharp.
pretty quick, sharp. But however, it's another movie where everybody is going, this is the scariest shit you've ever seen. You're gonna faint. You're gonna be terrified. I don't know if it's based on. I don't think it's based on gore like Terrifier 2, but it's getting those sort of superlatives thrown at it. The film follows two children who wake up in the night to discover that they cannot find their father and that the windows, doors, and other objects in the house are disappearing. Um,
Wow.
I don't know all that much about it. The poster is really effective. It's like an upside down shot of a. I don't know if it's a found footage movie. It might be a found footage movie, but apparently it's an experimental horror movie. I thought I'd mention it just so I can get it out there and remind myself that it exists. And also, we should probably give it a look. Give it a look. Whether we do a bonus
Yeah.
episode if it comes
I'll
out.
add it to my list as we speak. He says as he now attempts to work out how to type and spell Skinamarink.
I don't know what a Skinamarink is, but maybe it's a. I don't know. It sounds painful.
Oh, I've
Um,
nailed it, Skinamarink.
I had. I was always confident that you would nail it, Andy. Um, So yeah, there's that. That's all. That's everything for the news. I guess now we go on to what we've been watching. I will. I'm going to go first, Andy, because you've got a load of
Please
stuff to
do.
get through, haven't you? I don't want to get to the point where I'm just like, oh, he's gone for everything I've already seen.
Yeah, because we've got a big one to
Second
talk
hand.
about today, I think, right? So you go for it, and we'll finish with the one that we've both watched.
Sounds great. Okay, so I have got just three or four. I watched the William Friedkin movie Sorcerer, which stars Roy Schneider and others. It's not horror. It's like a thriller based on these four guys from across the world who are escorting like a payload of really dangerous dynamite through the Colombian jungle. And it's like, even if you jolt a little bit, the the dynamite will explode, and they're like taking it in a van. Really good, really tense. Drawn out tension was great. Really well made film. Maybe the first third of the story takes a while to get going, like introducing characters, but after that, it's a really well made thriller. Like you're on a knife edge pretty much for the entirety of the movie. Highly recommend that. I think actually Mr. Luke Kondo with a K in a previous episode suggested it to me. I added it to a watch list. I'm gonna say years ago. But yeah, I also watched. So I went from 1977 to 1985, and I watched Ron Howard's Cocoon. Now,
Okay.
yeah. So Cocoon was one of those films that I used to watch loads as a kid. And I read an interesting comment about this on Letterboxd where somebody said this is one of those films in the 80s. It was always on TV and 90s. Everyone seemed to love it. It had a really good sort of like message to it, and it was kind of like a family friendly sci-fi film. But it seems like now in the 21st century, it's kind of like vanished. Like it's never on TV. No one kind of talks about it. It's directed by Ron Howard. It doesn't kind of get discussed when we talk about 80s sci-fi as much as we would discuss, I don't know, something like Flight of the Navigator, for example. As one of those
Cocoon
films
is like the opposite of The Beach, right? It's the old people's home. What makes you young?
Yeah, well, it makes you feel young. Doesn't physically turn you young, but
Makes you feel great.
It's good. I mean, the aliens have kind of, I don't remember. Do you remember what the aliens look like in this film?
Aren't they like kind of white featureless aliens, but they got nice, lovely faces?
Kind of, yeah. They're kind of like these white, floating, glowing aliens, and they are a bit creepy, but they're not bad aliens at all. They're nice aliens. But this is a really sort of magical 80s film, and it's the fact that like the main cast of characters. I mean, it does have Steve Guttenberg in it as well. Obviously, everyone
Police Academy's own.
Police Academy's own, Three Men and a Baby's own, Steve Guttenberg. But the fact that like most of the cast is like elderly people is really interesting. I think it's a really interesting decision. Well, based on the subject matter, of course, it would be. But if you'd never seen it, because my partner Charlie had never seen it, and I was like, "You never seen Cocoon?" And I think I mentioned it to my mum, who used to watch it with me years ago. She said, "Oh yeah, Cocoon's amazing. I love that film." I think if you've never heard of it, oh my god, go and watch it. Hopefully, if you have heard of it and you have seen it, this might make you remember it exists.
I just looked at the aliens. It's like Mr. Burns when he's in the X-Files episode. He's all glowy.
It's exactly like Mr. Burns. It's exactly like that. What did you search? Aliens, Cocoon.
Just Cocoon aliens. They got ever such lovely faces.
I don't know.
They got big moon face. They're like kind of like
I still think they're
Teletubbies.
I kind of still think they're quite scary. And that sounds silly because you see like an old like dying one.
Oh yeah, they're horrible. Then they're all slurped out. Then
yeah, they love doing this in the 80s, isn't they? Like an old creepy dying alien, and like when because they disguise themselves as humans, when they kind of like take off their skin suits, that was pretty creepy as well. It's weird, though, isn't it? Because even like family friendly films from the 80s, there was always something
it's
about
a bit
them.
scary.
It's a bit scary, a bit freaky. Antarians they're called. Yeah, definitely go and watch this. It's a good time. And it was great to revisit it because I think I used to have it like on 2 VHS tapes recorded off the TV.
Double-sided. Should have whacked it on long play. You've been all right.
Yeah, maybe I did. Maybe I ran out of time. I also watched Run, Sweetheart, Run, Andy.
Oh,
the movie that you included in your top 10. I haven't actually written my thoughts down here, but I did enjoy it up until it took a turn And I know the term was supposed to be like, oh, you thought it was this, did you? Well, actually, it's this. I don't know. It just didn't work quite as well for me when it took that turn. I kind of expected something, and when it, I mean, is it a spoiler? I mean, it is a spoiler, and it's saying that there's a certain element you kind of think is rooted in reality, and when you realize it isn't, I don't know. It kind of fell apart at the seams a bit for me. I think,
I could see why the ending would be different. I think we may, depending on guest schedules and new releases, we may end up talking about this in more detail. So I won't go into detail. I
okay,
can see how the
yeah.
end could go either way for you, but I think I had given it its credit for the stylistic bits and those bits where it just comes
Oh
up with
yeah,
when the action kicks off and it gives you like a run. It's like
yeah, that's
watching
good.
the start of a video game bit where it's like, right, it's time to
Yeah.
go. QTE's on, mate, go.
QTE, like, will you run away from Nemesis or will you fight him head on?
Yeah.
So Ella Balinska, who I've only seen in the Resident Evil TV show, goes to show what a good script can do for an actress. Because in this, I'm just like, she's amazing.
She's great, isn't she?
She's great, and she's in Charlie's Angels as well, which I've not actually seen, but I probably should.
So she is the new one.
Yeah,
Yeah. Watched
and
on a
then what?
plane. Classic
Oh,
plane movie.
oh yeah, definitely. And then what's his flavor? Pilu Asbeck. So I only know him from Game of Thrones, but he's in things like Uncharted, Overlord, Ghost in the Shell, the Scarlett Johansson one. Suitably sinister and genuinely quite scary. I don't know about, again, I don't want to go too much into it. How did you feel about the fourth wall break bits?
Oh, that's all right. I quite like it. It's nice,
Yeah.
nice and cheeky. And I also like that dog. Dog was fun.
Oh, dog's great.
Wasn't he brilliant? Just comes out of nowhere. It's right, it's me, a dog. Like, oh,
It's
look
me, a
out.
dog. Don't worry about it. And then, yeah, and then finally to celebrate Friday the 13th, I watched Jason X because I think it's like the
Oh,
one.
what a time.
What time? So I've got like quite fond memories of this, and I think out of Jason X and Freddy versus Jason, Jason X was always the one that I kind of thought was the good one, and Freddy versus Jason was the one that was a bit naff, but both still fun in their own rights. This is a really weird one. It doesn't feel like a film. It feels like a made-for-TV movie or like a science fiction, a 90s science fiction show, because there's something just really about the sensibilities of it.
I think
It
it's
just
the
does.
lighting.
It's got to be the lighting.
It's
Yeah.
it's lit like Paul W.S. Anderson's Resident Evil or an episode of Stargate.
Yeah, or Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
What's kind of crazy is that even though on the poster you see Jason in his brand new chrome hockey mask, he only has that for like the last 10 minutes of the film. I mean, it's very, very silly. But
I look forward to the day we can cover Jason X on the show. Unfortunately, by our self-imposed rules, we've never done a franchise out of sequence. So I guess we've got
that's
8
true.
more Jason movies to do first, because I think we've only done part 1, right? So we've never done a movie that's got actual Jason Voorhees in it.
No, that sounds crazy, but no.
So we've only done the first Friday the 13th.
I feel like something like Jason X is. I think if it had a number attached to it, or I suppose it does. It is number 10. Is that right?
Yeah. So they've got you.
They bloody got me. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. There's like a cyborg woman who ends up going toe to toe with him. I mean, to be fair, rather than it being a movie about Jason Voorhees killing people, it's more like a movie about people trying to kill him. Like he kills people, yeah, but I mean the amount of bullets he absorbs is absolutely unreal. It does have David Cronenberg in it as well in the intro, in the beginning scene. But you know what? I still think it's a good time. I'm not gonna slate it. I'm not gonna say it's utter shit. I wouldn't say it's the worst of the franchise.
I love the bit in the virtual reality bit towards the end. It's so funny. It's great.
Oh yeah. Yeah, very. Oh, what when it becomes Camp Crystal Lake?
Yeah, and those two, hey, we're not paying any attention. He's not trying to kill the hologram. It's great.
Oh, fantastic. Love it. So that's it for me. I'm guessing you've got a more extensive list to run through for this week.
Yeah, let me rattle through what I've got here for you, Ben. A few more recommendations. I've been a little inspired by what we've been watching. So a little sci-fi slant to go with to begin with. I watched a film called Doors, which is it's like a sci-fi anthology movie Let me just pull the year for this for you. So Doors is a sci-fi anthology movie, 2021, directed by a number of people because it's an anthology. Um, Without warning, millions of mysterious alien, inverted commas, doors suddenly appear around the globe. In a rush to determine the reason for their arrival, mankind must work together to understand the purpose of these cosmic anomalies. With a slight bent towards horror on these as well. Just a really interesting, quite stylish for some of the sections pieces. There's one of them that's called Knockers about these like these people that try and go into the doors to like explore. So like astronauts that go into the doors to explore what's within them.
Yeah.
And once you get over the thoughts of, is that Josh from Drake and Josh? It is. Once you get over that, actually there's some good like horror bits in there, very kind of surreal sci-fi, and I enjoyed it. It was a good little exploration, and there isn't a full, it doesn't necessarily all follow on from each other. It's just four little standalone pieces that you can take in that I enjoyed.
Wow. Okay, so that's good.
Then, inspired by the upcoming M3GAN, I watched another episode of the 90s. Well, I watched two, in fact, episodes of the 90s, The Outer Limits. One of them was Blood
Oh
Brothers,
wow.
in which one of the members of Spandau Ballet is a bad brother and there's a good one. And they find a disease that, that they want to market as a chemical company, very umbrella. But
Yeah.
inspired by M3GAN, the episode I watched was Valerie 23, which certainly when I was at school was the one everyone was talking about because it had nudity in it. But it's
Okay.
about how the Grim Reaper from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey is a paraplegic man who his company, a robot company, give a robot companion to, who he goes from day one being really rude to, despite the fact that they've programmed it with feelings and it can cry and get upset, dead rude to it, night one. Night two, sleeps with the robot, and then goes
Jesus.
back to absolutely negging her and
Ah.
slagging her off again until she goes mad. You know what? It's really good. It's a
What's her name?
fun.
Valerie.
Valerie 23 is the name of the episode. It is the second, the first one is Sand Kings. It's a two-part. So it's episode 3 of the first season of The Outer Limits, the 90s Outer
Okay.
Limits.
I see. There's a shot of her, like the back of her head getting fiddled with.
Yeah, it's
Uh, I,
good.
I recognize that.
It's good 90s sci-fi. It's better produced than you would think it is, and a little bit of genre nods here. The physical therapist that the Grim Reaper has a relationship with, which he dumps the robot girlfriend for, is Huxley from RoboCop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
I enjoyed that a great deal. I then went on and did a little bit of culture, watched an Argentinian horror movie on Shudder called Crystal Eyes. Not as in
Crystallize.
crystallize, as in to turn things into crystal, but crystal, pause, eyes. So to
Crystal
have,
Paul's eyes.
yeah, to have eyes with the quality of crystals, which is
Mm.
about a fashion model who is a right old train wreck and gets killed. And then on the year anniversary of her death, the other supermodels that she knows begin getting moided.
Oh,
It's set in
that's
the
some fun.
80s. It's a low budget slasher. It's a bit of fun. It's
Yeah,
a bit
that
of
sounds
fun.
fun. What's that called again?
Crystal Eyes.
Oh yeah, I don't know why I needed why I needed you to. I should have listened. I did. I just forgot immediately. Sorry.
Then I went on and watched a film that you have seen. Again, sticking with Shudder, getting my money's worth this year.
Yeah.
I watched a film you've seen. I saw A Wounded Fawn, which you've seen with
Oh yeah.
Josh Rubin is
Mm.
hacks the shit out of these things, doesn't he? Like,
Yeah.
for his more comedic performance I watched recently in Scare Me, he's properly scary and creepy in this. He's really good.
Yeah.
And like to
I
be
mean,
fair, everyone in this film's good.
it feels like I think what I mentioned before. It feels like you're watching a piece of theatre rather than a movie.
Hmm.
Sometimes, isn't it? It feels like you could watch. It feels like you're kind of like front row at the old theatre, watching somebody have an argument, and then it goes a bit experimental and nuts.
Yeah, it's really strange in parts. And you're right, it
Mm.
really goes extreme. And I like the way they make it look like an older film than it is, right? Is it do they put like an effect on the film to make it look like it's cinema real, or
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure, actually, possibly.
I stylistically, I thought it was really good. I like the surreal elements. Had some goes into kind of folk horror or like an otherworldly mythology piece about it. And like I dug it
Yeah.
a lot. I thought it was really good,
Hmm.
and really well created. Then I watched the McPherson tape, which I think you've seen. It's the
Yeah.
alien abduction one. It's like the
Eh,
found footage
yeah.
piece. It's
Lalian.
daft, isn't it?
It's incredibly daft.
Daft as
I'm
shit. But you know
very
what?
90s.
I found the I found the reactions of quite a lot of it. There are some bits where they're clearly acting, when they try and actually deliver dialogue, like, "Hey, have you seen Mom? She's been drinking a lot recently. Well, haven't you done?" Like those bits are a bit forced, but when it's just a
Yeah.
big load of families shouting and talking over each other in the house,
Yeah.
it's really good. I quite
There's a
liked
little
it.
there's a little alien in here.
Yeah.
Get out. Yeah.
Yeah, a little alien comes in, and I'm gonna watch the remake because I feel like the '90s remake is something I have seen before, but I
Oh,
don't recall. So
I
I'm
don't
gonna
think
try and seek that and watch it again.
Is that called the same thing as well?
No, that one is called something like Alien Abduction: the something incident. I'd have to look it back up.
Incident
That's
in
the
Lake
one.
County, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
That's it. I
Okay.
feel like I've
Okay.
seen that on Sci-Fi late at night, so I need to revisit that to just refresh my memory.
Hmm.
Then I went back and watched something. I know Luke Conda with a Case recommended this before, but I am going to work through it. I watched the first season of Sci-Fi's Channel Zero, aka Candle Cove, is
Ah,
the first one. I had seen it before, but I'd kind of only
yeah.
pseudo watched it and I hadn't really paid proper attention to it. So I watched that again with a mind to then go into the other series of that one because I know particularly some of the later ones people reviewed quite strongly. So
Hmm.
I've started on that, like, interesting adaptation for, I think, what personally I think it's a fun little one of those creepypasta stories, isn't it, that these ones are all based on.
Hmm.
I think it doesn't necessarily bear being extended out to a full series like this was. It becomes something beyond the original concept, which worked well standalone for me.
Hmm.
Um, but you know what? There were still some things to enjoy, and there was still some really creepy imagery, like a child made entirely of teeth. That was
Teeth
fun.
Kid.
Yeah, little tooth boy. But he was a spoilers for a series that came out a while ago, everybody. But yeah, he's a bad little boy with psychic powers. He needs to be taught a lesson. Serves him right.
Says
Um,
right, Tooth Boy.
little toothy lad. I then watched Superhost on Shudder that came out. Like I saw it advertised later last year.
Oh yeah.
Obviously leaning into the Airbnb piece.
Hmm.
Yeah, a couple of YouTubers who review holiday lets basically go to a holiday let and then meet an unusual host. This for me was massively elevated. Like it's a fun movie. It has some good funny scenes. It's got some quite comedic moments to it as well. Let me just pull the name of the lead actor here because for me this entire thing was massively boosted by the performance of the lead here. So Gracie Gillam is plays Rebecca, who is the titular superhost. She is in Colin Farrell's Fright Night. She's in the Fright Night remake. I cannot see who as. She's
Yeah.
quite far down the
I'm
cast
just
list,
looking
so
at.
maybe not a major character, but she is phenomenal in this. She is joyously chaotic and evil in it, and I think she does a brilliant job to make this film something I'd actually go from saying, "Hey, this is something I've seen," to I'd actually recommend you sit and watch this. I had a lot of fun
Yeah.
with it.
I don't think I've heard of that. Just looking at the poster now. She's pulling some pretty intense faces.
She's great. She's really good in it. Like, there's a lot of fun to be had in there,
Hmm.
and I think some of the performances, it's a combination of like comedic, and Barbara Crampton has a cameo in it as well, horror royalty.
Nice.
But
Very
yeah,
nice.
Gracie Gillam is fantastic in it. I would like to see her in more horror stuff.
Hmm.
Finally got round to starting Cabinet of Curiosities. Watched the first one of those, Lot 36. Yeah, it was
Nice.
fun. A good little starter. I like a nice, neat story that goes full circle and something. I'm a big fan of Chekhov, Ben. You know me, and we have Chekhov's padlock in this one, and I'd love to see it come back. Um, Then I took a little break from watching.
That was day one.
Nah, a little break though, and then I went to some reading. I read the Ice Cream Man, the comic book. I read the first volume of that. Picked it up on
Oh
a humble
yeah.
bundle or a
Okay.
sale or something like that. You know what? I knew that it was an acclaimed comic book, but I did not know anything else about it. It's basically the horror anthology. The Ice Cream Man is. I haven't got, but maybe as we get into further volumes, I'll understand who it is and we'll find out more of his background. But he's a
Some
bit
sort
of
of crypt
a
keeper.
Beelzebub character.
Oh,
So, like,
okay.
he'll
Okay.
meet people and they'll give him a flavor of ice cream, and then some
Rum and
strange
raisin,
things
please.
will
Get
happen.
out of there.
Yeah, none of that. Mint chocolate or no or now. Yeah, I really like it. I think one of my particular favorite ones in the first volume is one where there is like an old guy from a rock band who was a one-hit wonder, and he thinks, can I have one more? And then having his ice cream, he goes into like a bizarre space age world where other characters such as Major Tom, Ruby Tuesday, just like
Oh
um
wow.
fictionalized versions of song characters. Eleanor Rigby is in there as like they are fighting like an alien invasion, and he has to come up with a new song to save the world. It's great. It's
Wow.
surreal. It's really
That's
fun.
good.
I'm going to look forward to reading the rest of those.
Yeah.
Then I got into the Resident Evil Village DLC, so Memories of Rose. Have you played it?
No, I've still got to play it.
It
I
feels like,
downloaded it, but I still need to play it.
well, I'm not done yet. It feels like it's basically Resident Evil Village, the greatest hits again. So the first bit is going around fighting kind of molded creatures, going
Yeah.
there. And then the second section is probably one of the scarier horror game
Is it almost
sections I've
like
played for a
something
long
from
time.
that Doctor Who with the look away from the things and they chase after you? Like,
Yep.
oh,
That's the bit that I've just done. So for those people who've played Resident Evil Village, there's the section that's like the doll's house, where it's your combat is taken away, and then it's about doing puzzles and things scare you.
yeah.
And towards the end of it, you have to find your way through in the dark to go and get a fuse. And there's a mannequin that doesn't come out. It will kill you if it gets close to you, but won't move. Classic Mario boos. If you look at them, they
Yeah.
won't move. But obviously, you have to look at where you're going sometimes. So I was there moving the camera and keeping this thing in eye shot. And if your character isn't looking at it, it will start to move. So
Oh
then,
God.
inevitably at some points you will step away from it, and then you'll see it come around the corner again. There's a
It's horrible.
very horrible
If you
movements,
just turn
and
your back
then
to it, just get you.
yeah, just get you. Thankfully, it didn't because I'm dead good at computer games, me. But on the way back out after you've got the fuse, it goes from having one, which is kind of a little tutorial, to then there being
Yeah.
several of them, and then you
Oh.
cannot physically look at all of them. So having to play a game of like, right, if I look away from this one until it's got close, then look back, I can keep them both in frame while I walk to the door. It was really
Stressful.
tense, but
That
great. And
sounds
I've
incredible.
got some more of that to finish, but I'm moving through that. Then I watched Take Back the Night, which is the story also on Shudder. A woman is attacked on a late night on the way back from a night out, and then begins a vigilante case to hunt down the monster that attacks her. It's a monster that attacks her, by the way.
Ah,
So
okay.
it begins like a vigilante effort to try and take back the night. Started Chucky season 2, like I mentioned. I also watched an 80s horror movie called Annihilator, which is, for reasons that are not really explained, a man's girlfriend goes back from a trip to Hawaii that she's won, and you'll never guess what, Ben.
Go on.
She's a bloody robot now. Finds out she's a robot, tries to drown him in a lake.
Oh,
So he goes
how'd
on
you
the
be...
run.
how'd
How'd
that
she get
happen?
replaced? We never know. We never find out. The robots have got names. They're like a race of alien robots, and they replace people with robots that will try and kill a person.
Oh yeah.
It's absolute 80s madness. Absolute lunacy. Just great visual overlays to robot vision as they're calculating things, a bit like M3GAN. And yeah, absolute madness of all these
I recognize
robots.
I recognize the poster for this as well. 1985?
Yeah, that's the one.
86. 86, sorry. Okay. And the main character is called Robert Armour.
Robert Armour, Mr. Armour, and there's one bit where he's got a gun that he uses for killing robots, and he loses sight of his gun from it. You know what? One of the robots has done it, bent it, so he goes to get his gun back out. It's like naked gun. You You've barreled some men. But apart from that, one more thing that we've both watched now. No spoilers for
Yeah.
everyone, but it's the hottest new topic right now. Last of Us has started.
Yeah. Oh god, sorry. I thought you were going to talk about M3GAN. The Last of Us has
We'll come to
officially
that.
started. Premiered in America on the 15th, and then I think we could have watched it if we stayed up to 2 a.m., but I didn't do that. We've seen the
Set
first
your Sky Plus
episode now.
box.
Set your Sky Plus box for it. We've seen the first episode. Initial thoughts without spoiling anything, because I think a lot of people are going to watch this without having played the game. So
Yeah, I haven't got around to playing the games yet. I watched
oh
it,
yeah, of
so
course.
I feel like for me, there are lots of bits I think visually at very least, which I think I would have got more out having seen the games because I
Mhm.
know that lots of them are very faithful to that. Whereas I see them having not done the games, I'm like, it's a nice shot.
That's lovely. That's
Um,
beautiful.
I watched, I think the game famously, no spoilers there, is heart wrenching and sad quite often. I think they've definitely pulled that vibe to it.
Yeah,
Yeah, like it's too early in the show to know what it'll build into, but solid first episode. I'm actually
yeah,
going to make an effort to keep on this one as it goes through and be in the moment with it.
yeah.
So
I think that's
yeah,
what I'm going to try and do as well. Um, as a big fan of the games, I feel like it's I think it's perfect casting, but I feel like it's also replicated scenes from the games really well. However, like sometimes that doesn't work. If you do beat for beat, it doesn't work. However, luckily, something like The Last of Us, where like it's cinematic in itself and it's like a AAA title with a really, really great story, replicating some of the scenes is perfectly fine. I know they've made some changes, minor changes, I believe, that I've read about. Nothing that has been confirmed by the show yet. But yeah, tense, heart-wrenching, and scary. So these are the things that it needs to get right. And yeah, I think The Last of Us is probably up there with not just some of the best video games for this, but also some of the best media in any form. Maybe not. Well, yeah, in any form where human relationships are represented in such a tragic, um, just like complex, desperate way that like it is genuinely like fascinating to watch. And characters, obviously in The Last of Us, characters you spend hours upon hours and hours with, that when something tragic does happen to one of them or someone that you're close to in that game, you really do feel it. And I feel like that's what's going to happen with the show as well, is that Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey are such great actors that I think they're going to replicate that extremely well. For fans of the games, but also for new fans as well. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it happens. Because on the surface, you could just go, "Oh, another zombie apocalypse." Of course, it's not straight up that, but it's the human story that is really, really fascinating. Put set it against a different backdrop, post-apocalyptic or not. I think it really does work well. There's really well written characters, and the fact that so many people from the games are involved, voice actors through to the director, the
Neil
composer
Drucker.
for the sound, Neil Druckmann. Yeah, is that what you said? Sorry,
Yeah,
Drucko. And then the composer as well doing the soundtrack. Like the opening credits have got the main theme from the games. That is very, very important. I can't stress enough. Like one of my favorite video game to movie adaptations is Silent Hill. And you know what? I reckon about 25% of that is the fact that it uses essentially all the same music. The fact that it does that sets the tone perfectly if you're a fan of the games. If it opened and had a completely different soundtrack, you've already got a perfectly great, recognizable soundtrack that everybody loves and is perfect for the game. Please use it. Obviously, re-record it. Fine. Please use it, because I think it just adds so much to the vibe of it. I don't know if you agree with that, Andy.
no, I could go with that. Imagine Resident Evil with a proper like lovely safe room
Exactly.
soundtrack.
If Resident Evil had a safe room soundtrack, or like the main hall in Resident Evil 2, um, do you know what? Not only are there lots of Easter eggs for this, I got a couple of Resident Evil vibes during The Last of Us as well.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah, I
particular
could see those bits from watching those first sections.
Yeah, then there's a particular moment, and this isn't a spoiler as such, but there's a particular moment where some characters get separated by a flaming wreckage, and I was like, This is Leon and Claire in Resident Evil 2. This is exactly what it is, separated by a flaming wreckage. Brilliant. And you know, whether that was done on purpose or not, maybe, I don't know. But still, very, very cool, and highly looking forward to it. Looking forward to talking to people about it who've never played the games as well, you know, so that people go, oh, have you seen that new show, Last of Us? That's great, isn't it? And I'll go like, ha!
Now looking
Oh
forward to
yeah.
loads of those bloody normies telling you about this great new thing they've discovered. Tell you what, Ben, you like horror, don't you? There's this
Yeah.
thing called The Last of Us that's just come out. Maybe you want to check that out. A little hint from me.
I'll check it
You
out,
make
mate. Don't worry
mainstream
about
Mike.
it. Yeah. Mainstream Mike.
All
Yeah,
right,
I'll check it out.
mainstream
Why
Mike.
not? I'll have a look. I'll have a look. I'll see what it's all about. You know, I'll platinum the first game. I haven't platinum the first game. But yeah, awesome.
Yeah. Sorry,
And that
everyone.
is
Chat your bloody ear off about watching too much stuff. Yeah, for M3GAN news. I'll
here
tell
for
you what.
Mega
Maybe,
News.
hopefully, you've come with some more recommendations to put in your own lists there.
Or you've come straight here with the timestamp, which is why I put them there. You know, not that what we've been watching isn't interesting, Andy, but some people, time is precious, and they want to hear what we
Aye.
think about M3GAN, aka M3GAN, aka model-free generative android. Generative android, is that right? So shall we? Shall we do it?
Yeah. Let's get into M3GAN, shall we?
Yes. So M3GAN, aka M3GAN, if you want to pronounce it like that, it's up to you. We won't judge you. Is a 2022 American science fiction horror film directed by Gerard Johnstone, written by Akela Cooper, and starring Allison Williams and Violet McGraw. Akela Cooper, let's shout her out because not only is she the screenwriter for M3GAN, she also wrote *Malignant*. And I feel like that is a hell of a 1-2 punch to be involved in terms of like modern horror that's like captured the collective imaginations of you know, people who like their horror fun, I guess. And you know, we've already discussed *Malignant* on this show, and it wasn't my favorite thing in the world. However, I do really appreciate what it did for the genre. And
*Malignant* has grown on me. I might need to reassess that because I think I might have been quite harsh on it.
yeah,
But
I can't entirely remember.
but now it's really stuck with me, and I still think about that chair throw, or when she beats up all those different characters in the prison cell.
Yeah, that reveal is second to none. And yeah, I think that was a well worked script. The fact that the way it's going to drip feeds you, and then hits you bang with this big reveal. I think that's great, and I think M3GAN's written really well as well. I've got a couple of the choice reviews. Oh, actually, sorry. Before I read the choice reviews, because I was going to talk about the script in the choice reviews. So the story for this is a robotics engineer at a toy company builds a lifelike doll that begins to take on a life of its own. Begins? It's already got a life of its own. You designed it that way. How dare you? Who's it starring? Amie Donald is M3GAN, but Jenna Davis does the voice of M3GAN. Don't get those two things confused. Allison Williams plays Gemma. Do you recognize Allison Williams?
She is the girlfriend in Get Out.
She's the girlfriend in Get Out. And what I like about this, right, is that you know what sometimes actors are so like not horrible, but like it's so easy to hate in movies that they're tarnished forever. Whenever you see them, you go, "Ah, that's that person from this." Good example is Jesse Plemons from Breaking Bad, aka kind of looks a bit like Matt Damon. He's in loads of stuff. But whenever I see him, I go, "Oh, you from Breaking Bad who shot that kid." I can never look at you the same way. Allison Williams, I reckon the first 10 minutes I was like, "Oh, it's the girlfriend from Get Out. Don't like her." After that,
I'm
I
trying to
forgot.
slurp my brains out for an old white man. No, it's all
Yeah,
right.
but after that, I was on board with her, which I think is good because I think it shows that you know her performance was good enough to step away from that, so I wasn't affected. Violet McGraw is Katie. I recognize her. She is in. Is she in Doctor Sleep? That's what I'm looking at now. She's somebody in Doctor Sleep. I thought she was somebody in The Haunting of Hill House. Yeah, I think she is the
Oh, is
person in
she
Haunting
like
of Hill House.
young? Is she one of the young, like the kid version
Yeah, she's the kid version of someone. She plays
of
Gwen in
someone
the
who gets their
Black
neck
Phone.
broken?
She plays Gwen in the Black Phone as well. So,
Yes.
oh no, she doesn't. She's a sister. She's the sister of Gwen who plays of the actress who plays Gwen in the Black Phone.
Oh, okay.
A family,
Talented family.
talented family, yeah. Um, and then yeah, there are some other characters as well, of course, but we'll get into that. So choice reviews, I guess we should go for. We've got 6.7 on IMDb, 95% critic score at the moment, but obviously it's only just come out, so that could possibly dwindle. 79% audience score. Everyone seems to be loving it. 3.3 on Letterboxd. I've got some choice reviews here. Some I agree with, some not so much, but I thought I'd get a nice cross section. Joe Aragon says, it's Aragon himself. Malignant's little sister,
Kingsbury
M3GAN,
returned.
the king's back. He's on Letterboxd. Malignant's little sister, M3GAN leans into its absurdity and delivers way more laughs than scares, which for some may be a downer, but it's brimming with so much fun that it's almost impossible not to have a good time. 3.5 stars. And then somebody simply known as Coffee, maybe they prefer tea. We fed an AI viral Twitter clips and asked it to write a trendy script. Here's the result. I don't think I agree with that. It wasn't one of those scripts that done my nut in. I was all right with it. You feel all right with it?
Yeah, I think if anything else, like this is, if you look at things that are trending right now, it's things imitating the visuals we're seeing in M3GAN.
Yeah, I don't think it's one of those scripts at all. Sorry to throw it under the bus again, Andy. I don't mean to do it. I know you quite enjoyed it, and I hate to keep doing this. It's not personal. Resident Evil TV show. That is we fed an AI viral Twitter clips. It's like that is we fed an AI 4chan and Reddit boards and asked it to write a trendy script. Here's the result: Zootopia porn. Coffee's only given it 2 stars there. And then Sergio Munoz Esquire says, masterpiece, game changer, one of the greatest experiences ever. A love letter to cinema, no notes, 5 stars.
Oh, well done.
Well. So this is like a pretty anticipated release. Everyone was kind of really hyped for this being released early January, and super exciting. As I mentioned, we've covered Little Killers before. Killers is kind of a spoiler, but I think it's to be expected. I think this was kind of almost everything I expected. I don't want to say and more, because I feel like it was everything I expected. I kind of went into it from watching the trailer and from going into it like this. I kind of expected it to go in this direction, and it did. For that reason, I'm not saying so. I think it doesn't reinvent the wheel. However, it is definitely a good time. I don't
Definitely
know.
An excellent wheel that they've made here.
It's an excellent wheel, yeah. It's one of those wheels where you're like, look, this wheel works absolutely perfectly. This wheel does the job it's designed to do. It doesn't do anything extra. Like you're not driving and suddenly the wheels turn on their side and float off like a Fifth Element car.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you feel.
But they do think. I overall, like, I think there's a lot to like about this film. Primarily, it is a fun horror movie. Like you mentioned, the call out on the script. I couldn't disagree more with the fact that it felt like it was written by an AI. Like I think that
yeah,
there are some bits that are developed and more developed, and some characters that I think will come to the bits that bother me sometimes. I just like people to be good at their jobs in films, and I don't always feel like I get that. But
yeah,
I think that M3GAN, the character herself in particular, is it cheating? 2 actors portrayed the character, so maybe that's why they're very good. But I think very well performed and very well written. And I think there's some great subtlety as it goes from M3GAN, the robot that's working properly, to the personality that develops in the tone of the way she speaks, in the language that she chooses. I think it has great skill in developing that. And it's got a lot of character to it. I came out of this movie really excited to see more of this character. I think the strength of what they've created here is a franchise builder. And coming off last year where I was really, really more often than not disappointed by the franchise movies that we had, with a few very, notable exceptions. it's refreshing to see something that I've come away from thinking, instead of, oh God, more of that again,
Mm.
hearing something that's like, oh, I'd like to see more of this. I want to see more of this character. I wonder how they might do this with this
Yeah,
character next.
it's
It was,
interesting.
yeah, it was really interesting to see that stuff coming about, and I think it was well written and well delivered. And there's some other themes which we'll dive into later, which your mileage may vary on, but I thought there was some interesting things to say with this film.
Yeah, I feel like that was what I kind of was surprised by. I know my comments just now made it sound like I wasn't, but I think in terms of the way it played out and the way it wraps up was what I expected it to do. However, the things I didn't expect it to do, I guess, were the comments it kind of made on like grief and loss and family and um becoming reliant on something, you know, whether that's
Yeah,
technology or you know, many things like that, or toys.
there was the piece that I really gave me pause, Ben, in the cinema. I took a little sip of my drink and thought, just think about that for a minute.
Mm.
Like the piece about parenthood and unplanned parenthood, and I don't think it's a secret. You get this from the trailers pretty well, and also spoilers for this movie we're about to do the plot details of. But M3GAN goes to live with her aunt unexpectedly because her parents die.
Mm.
So sorry, like Katie goes to live with the parents, and M3GAN is a robot that she gives her because this is a woman who is unprepared to look after a child, doesn't know how to relate to a child, and so being an expert in technology, what she does is she does what she knows how to do and has a machine that supports that. And early on, they talk about, well, M3GAN can do all these amazing things, so she can always talk to the kids. She can remind her to put the toilet seat down and to wash her hands
Wash your
and to
hands. Wash your
and to
hands.
yeah,
Disgusted.
it can do those things. And I think they have an exchange between two characters. Say, well, if you're getting the robot to do all that, what are you doing with her? Like, why are you not reading your kid a bedtime story and things like that?
But
And
of course, there's a moment early in the film where kind of like screen time is discussed and mentioned, and I think, I mean, all parents deal with becoming a parent for the first time in different ways. So I can't just, I'm not trying to be throw a generalization over it. I'm trying to just discuss how some people may have been affected. Is that I've been talking about postnatal depression and everything like that as well. Like people can go from being I've got this under wraps to suddenly being like, oh, I'm completely overwhelmed, you know. And in terms of screen time, like sometimes maybe you feel like you need that break and you're almost allowing, you're not literally allowing an iPad to parent your child, but you're just having that moment of respite where the iPad is kind of like the center of attention. And some people would deal with it in different ways. Other people might, you know, I really don't want my child to be on an iPad at all. Other people, this is the only time I can relax and sort
we
of
can have
have
a
my own
moment to
time.
myself, but a minute
Have
to think.
a minute to think, yeah. And I understand that it's represented here in a really extreme manner, but it kind of makes sense, especially with the way technology is changing um, every day. Obviously, years ago, and people of a certain generation will have no qualms about telling you, back in my day, didn't have an iPad, didn't have a TV, didn't have a nickel to scratch my ass with. All of that stuff. They're free to tell you that, but it's like, okay, but you know, times change,
But you do have
technology
those things now.
technology changes. Go with the flow or get left behind. But at the same time, it's interesting to think like how will different generations change when, you know, I've heard stories about kids who constantly talk in American accents, who aren't American because they watch nothing but YouTube. So it's really interesting to think about that thing. Like future generations will be different in certain ways because of technology. Not saying it's all going to be negative or all going to be positive, but I think this film brought up a lot of that in a really interesting way in terms of um, replacing a loved one for grief, and it reminded me of that Black Mirror episode as well with Domhnall
Miley
Gleeson.
Cyrus.
Not the Miley Cyrus one, the one with Domhnall Gleeson where he dies and then his girlfriend like has him replicated as like an AI that
An
talks to him
AI.
via text, as email, and then eventually voice chat, and then eventually turns up in a new robot body. Kind of reminded me of that in a way where it's like, wow, like it's kind of crazy to think that that could be a possibility, and it's kind of represented in this film.
It's a bit like the Outer Limits episode, Valerie 23.
It's
Um,
exactly like the Outer Limits episode of Valerie 23. Yeah, would it make
um,
a good double feature?
yeah, you could watch these two together because also like we talk about the cost of them. I've said all these things where there's the stark warnings that the film produces for us about the reliance on robotic assistants, things like that. But they do talk about the price of a M3GAN, and they're 10 grand or thereabouts, right?
Yeah.
Um, to be fair, I haven't got a kid, but 10 grand just have a M3GAN help you out around the house.
But this is another interesting thing. Like people from certain income households are going to be completely priced out of this. Not that it's going to go on general sale anytime soon. Unfortunately, the the model, it didn't work out. But people getting priced out of things like that. Like, is that fair? Essentially, are we like, oh, is that? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Kids that
there's a
can
lot
afford 10 grand have got like a best robot friend.
of stuff around Christmas where it's like, hang on a minute, my friend got a PS5 and I only got something less than a PS5. Does Santa like that kid more than me? All of those things that can kind of be little faults that children and their developing minds may need to think about.
And if you turn around and say, oh, it's because you haven't been as good, actually. So that'd be you that's the bad guy.
You haven't been as good, actually. I've been great. I've been doing loads of stuff, loads of
Well,
stuff
this
for the
person obviously
homeless.
did more.
But he's a bastard. Oh yeah, this probably makes sense. Yeah, little spoiled brat. So yeah, I mean, it has a lot to say. And what I kind of liked as well was the fact that there's nothing supernatural here at play.
Mhm.
Um,
It's not
and
Ghoulies, no, not a ghost in sight. Sorry, Ghost
Ghoulies are ghosted,
fans.
and it's not just like this AI slash robot thing isn't evil just for the sake of it. She has a goal, and that goal develops throughout the film. What starts off as fairly basic, protecting or kind of being there emotionally for our main character Katie, it soon becomes something more sinister because the AI is kind of learning in such a way where it's like, well, if I'm going to protect her, then that
That's what I
means I
should
have to
do.
take out any threats. Whether I have to kill a neighbor with an evil dog, or I have to kill a boy by stretching his ear really long and thin like a fruit roll up.
Yeah, I mean, hate to say this, but I was probably on Megan's side for more of this film than you might expect.
I don't know why you wouldn't be on Megan's side. I mean, some people. I mean, less
right up
like
in, right up
I
until she
think
threatens a lobotomy, I guess.
I think it gets up to a point where like maybe she's not protecting KD, maybe she's literally just she's enjoying it now. There's definitely a crossover point then. Um, but yeah, I think it's done really well, and
That little
I
boy
mean,
wanted his ear snapping off, though. Teach him a lesson.
I mean, the only thing I think about this script is, could you write any more like just horrible little bastard kid? There's no
Yeah,
nuance to him at all. It's literally just like he's a little
kid,
bastard.
kid that is destined to be an offender. Put him on the register
Kid
now.
kid who's like what 5 years older than Katie, like physically squishing around
Yeah, piece of
into a
shit.
conker shell, whatever it is.
Glad he's dead, if I'm honest. But
Yeah, I think you're right.
but yeah, we'll get into this plot wise, I guess. Anything else you want to say about the general casting or anything like that?
No, I don't think so. I think everyone's pretty solid. Um, yeah, we'll get into it with the casting. So basically, we start with Katie in a car with her parents. She's like, oh, actually, no, we don't. We start with an advert for a product,
Forever
don't we?
Pet,
What's it called?
Forever Pets, but I think it's like fur as in FUR, and then ever, play on words on
Forever
forever,
Pets.
but they're also furry
It's
and
like
they're
a cross
pets.
between a, it's like a Furby. I guess it's a bit like a Minion as well. It kind of looks like
A
that with the big
Furby
eyes.
minion, and they've got like I guess like I won't say the name of the virtual assistant speaker. They've got that in their thing, and they run with an app, and you can talk to them.
Yeah.
And I see this is where I sorry, reviewer person, but uh, it's shorthand and lazy to say, hey, this is example X, as if you fed an AI this thing. That itself is cliched and written by an AI. The feedback that you get from
Yeah.
that is AI written like really basic Route One marketing stuff. Like, and they show that they've made these obnoxious toys that would make you roll your eyes as a parent. That basically they do like a fart joke, or they say like standard catchphrases as a toy, right?
The kids would love it though, you know? They would.
Yeah,
Like
like kids
things
like some absolute shit. Sorry, kids.
we live in a world where marketing is king, and none more so than stuff like that, but also that that drink Prime, which is big time at the moment, literally just a shitty old watered down energy drink, because it's got that KSI and Logan Paul attached to it. People are selling it for like £15 a bottle. Goes to
So please,
show.
Ben, feel like I've achieved something because I didn't know what the fuck that drink was. In your face, you two. You don't get my brain.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the fit that goes to show like how much marketing works for kids, like of all ages, really. So yeah, kids would want this shitty little thing because it makes fart jokes and is like that. And what we established early on is that Katie is she's into the toy. She's also really into her iPad, and they kind of give her screen time. Like, listen, when your 30 minutes is up, get off of it. So yeah, this advert is from a company called Funky. And when we see Katie and her parents, they're driving on a ski trip. They're like on a mountain in literally the worst weather possible to be driving in, right?
Yeah, it's too snowy. They're skidding, they're having a really well written driving fight. That's how driving fights happen.
You should have got chains. Well, neither of us knew you needed chains for the tires until 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, you only knew that now, so don't pretend like it's my fault.
Yeah. But also, I mean, even though I've seen the trailer at this moment, I was just like full of terror and dread. It was like the opening scene of Casualty, where you knew somebody was immediately gonna get
the
hurt
opening
or
scene
die.
of Casualty, like, hey, don't clean your shotgun like that. Someone will have an accident. All right. Or, oh yeah, I know I've had this vertigo recently, and I'm 8 months pregnant, but I'm just gonna get up this step ladder to do this bit of painting. All right.
There was an
You
episode of
sure?
Casualty. There's an episode of Casualty where somebody like switched on like turned a switch on the wall in the kitchen, and like their house blew up. Honestly, stayed with
Yes.
me for like 5 years, where every single time I would turn a switch on in the kitchen or anywhere else, I'd think, is it going to explode? Nope, got away with it
You
this
go around
time.
the house smelling for gas every time.
Smelling for gas. It's me again.
I swear I've done that before. I've been like, I've smelt the gas and I've had the windows open for ages, and then I've been like, you like pause on the light switch in case that's the time. Yeah, it's had me as well.
You ever tried to turn the light switch on halfway? Neither on nor off.
It's Schrodinger's light. Um, so yeah, this is you've captured it perfectly, Ben. That's exactly how that bit feels because I know her parents aren't in this movie.
Yeah.
And they go, okay, we'll just pull off the side of the road until someone comes along and sweeps the road.
Did
Unfortunately
they
for
even
them,
pull off? I'm pretty sure they just stop in the middle of the
they've
road.
stopped in the middle of the road and they plan to pull off until they can be safe. But then the snowplow they were hoping to see comes a little sooner.
I wish one of them closed their eyes and went, I wish for a snowplow right now. And then, yeah, bad decision,
And
unfortunately.
they had a birthday wish saved up they hadn't used. And then it manifested it like Noel Edmonds in helicopters. Manifests it straight away and they get snowplowed.
They get absolutely snowplowed to death. Well,
Yeah.
it flashes and we were supposed to think that that's what's happened, that they've died. And then we cut to Aunt Gemma.
We cut to Gemma just doing some. I guess she gets the call about the family shortly because now we have a little bit of her at her work, meeting all the quirky characters that she works with, right? So
Yeah,
Tess and Cole and Gemma are down in their toy lab at the toy company, making some, and they've made an expensive M3GAN. M3GAN's already a thing. She's already been built, and they're testing out some skin on her.
Yeah, so it looks like initially they're like working on a new version of this for what they call perpetual pet. Furpetch. I thought they were called perpetual pet.
Forever pets. So they're like no, well, they must be. Maybe one's a variant of another, but they're working.
Make it a new. They need to make a cheaper version of it, don't they? Because it's retailing quite high, and then there's
someone's ripped them off with some shit
another
versions.
company's ripped them off a shit version, but they're cheaper, which I feel like wouldn't matter. I feel like no matter the price,
If your
you know,
branding's on.
if your branding's on, it wouldn't matter. But Gemma's
Okay,
like,
so
oh, no,
active sport, Mom. That's one stripe too many. I'm going to get battered for this.
it's half the price. I'm gonna get battered for this. It's half the price though. I don't give a fuck.
NAFCO 36 jacket, Mom. This is not going to fly.
No. Um, so rather than developing this brand new version of this, they've gone, you know what? I know I should be doing my job and doing this, but I've actually spent 100 grand on a new prototype for something that I really ain't even a toy. It's literally like if you worked for, I don't know, Hot Wheels and you're developing a new, brand new little toy car and you went, actually, I've knocked up an actual Lamborghini over there. An actual Lamborghini. They go,
What you've done there is missed the brief.
you've completely missed the brief. Who are we going to sell that to? But yeah, they've developed a M3GAN.
And they go to show it off, and it looks like it might work, but then it explodes because Cole has forgot to put some kind of separator in there.
I feel like if that cost 100 grand and they've now lost 100 grand, Cole should be viable for that. No one else should be in fear of losing their job.
It shouldn't be like, what have you developed? Well, I developed it well. It exploded because this idiot didn't put a thing in.
Absolutely disgraceful, yeah.
But the boss, who is at first I was like, oh, is he going to be awful? But he's hilariously awful, so that's okay. Like at first I was like, oh, is this just going to be a really? Before you know the tone of the film is going to take, you think, is this character going to be a terrible, like I'm a horrible boss cliche? It's David Lynn playing. Ronnie Cheng playing David Lynn.
Yeah, so Ronnie Cheng from The Daily Show as well. So he's been on Daily Show for years. Always enjoyed his segments on there. So good to see him. Good to see him on the big screen. I think he's been in a couple of things before already.
He's in Shang-Chi. He's in Godzilla vs. Kong. He's in Crazy Rich Asians. So they're all pretty huge movies. So he's getting about.
He's getting about.
And at first I thought, oh, okay, is this going to be like an awful character that isn't in tone keeping with the rest of it? He's perfectly in tone with the rest of the film. He's great. I really liked him.
Yeah, definitely.
So he is furious that he says, right, I need you to build me the cheap version of these toys by Friday. And I'm furious. Don't waste any more money on M3GANs, all right?
Don't waste any more money. Like as if that would be all that happens. Like you spent £100,000 of company money, and he's just gone, listen, no more M3GANs, make something else. That's not how life works, unfortunately. But yeah, M3GAN looks pretty creepy when they put the mask on her, the sort of silicone face on her.
Because the face doesn't really work at first, because it like doesn't mesh to the face, and it like kind of curls up slightly wrong.
Yeah, there's something like Uncanny Valley about her face anyway, isn't there?
Yeah, I think they deliberately make it quite uncanny.
Yeah, it's pretty terrifying.
In many ways, again, a great design choice, because you could have, you spend a fortune trying to make these things look perfect, and there's something horrible and uncanny about them, but to deliberately design something that looks ever so slightly uncanny is masterfully done.
Yeah, I agree. It's good.
But then just as she's been given a bloody deadline by the boss, Gemma's probably saying to herself, oh, how can this day get any worse? And then the phone goes, and it's the hospital to say, did comment on, oh, she got that, because it says like so-and-so emergency center. And I was like,
oh yeah,
save that number in your contacts.
Oh, have you got that number saved? Doesn't make sense. It would just be it'd be an unknown number, wouldn't it?
Withheld.
Come on.
Hospitals.
Withheld, yeah.
But it comes up as a name, and then the day does get worse as she finds that her sister and brother-in-law have been blown up, and has to go and adopt their kid.
Yeah, so Katie is injured, but okay, she's not dead.
She's got a few face scabs, that's it.
A few face scabs. And I guess what's interesting here is that Gemma is a very career-orientated, talented roboticist who pretty much lives and breathes her career, as you would, I think, if you had that sort of skill set. And the last thing on her mind is sort of having kids. She doesn't appear to be in a relationship with anybody. So, she's
got some Tinder notifications waiting for her when she gets home. So
she's got
not in a relationship.
not in a relationship, but maybe actively looking, or maybe not. Maybe we've all got needs. But but yeah, so the fact that she's suddenly thrust into this new life of being a parent slash guardian, because here's the thing, she does pretty much sign something to say that she's now the guardian, doesn't she?
Yeah,
Even
sign
though
this paperwork.
we're made aware quite early on that the parents of the brother-in-law are also keen to sort of help out, but I think Gemma sort of feels like she's got, because they live far away.
In
I think she kind
Florida.
of
Then she's like,
they're
shade on Florida. She like goes, oh, the all the way in Florida. Shithole.
shithole Florida. You've been there for more than 5 minutes. There's always a headline in the paper: Florida man does this, Florida man does that.
Yeah, so
Don't want to
she's
be
not
near it.
happy to it. So she takes her over to thingy. This is where we get. I wanted to take your opinion on this. So she drives Katie back. She goes and gets a couple of bags. Also, Megan's in the car too, like just in boxes because she's taking that back because the guy says take it out, buddy office.
He doesn't say
Um,
bin it though. He goes put it in a dark closet somewhere.
so
Um,
she's taking all this stuff home, and she's getting Katie and all of her stuff to bring home. And then we get a bloody jump scare no sooner she pulls on the drive. Ben, how do you feel about that? I know you're not a fan.
um, that's all right. I think that's not too
Dog at
bad.
the window.
I'm not completely against all jump scares. I think I'm just against the leading jump scares where you're like, there's going to be a jump scare, and there is, and it's a fake out, and then there's the real jump scare. That shit gets on my nerves. This was kind of all right because in a scene where there's pretty much no tension, and suddenly we're feeling a bit tense. I think that can be done correctly.
And then she has a bit of a confrontation with a neighbor who is like jet washing her drive.
Jet washing a drive with some sort of weird chemical, and there's a big hole in the fence which the dog like keeps getting through.
It's like a perfect dog shaped hole as well.
Yeah, like a cartoon, like the dog from the side, tail and four legs. Also, this woman seems to love her dog, right? She's obsessed with it. Loves it. Why she made a dog sleep outside then? If you love
Sleep
your dog
outside
so
in a
much,
kennel.
get indoors with you. Selfish.
And at the time, this neighbor's sort of trying to go out. So will you keep your dog from going to thing? She's like, oh, okay. Do you want to borrow my jet washer? No, I want you to not. Like, rude. She's like, no, I'd rather you didn't fucking jet wash your chemicals all over my drive that I don't clearly care about because I've not really house
Yeah.
proud about not having chemicals on my drive, but I don't mind having a massive hole in my fence.
No chemicals on my drive, please. As one thing I stand against. So yeah, she takes Katie into the house, and obviously Katie is suitably shell shocked by everything she's gone through, and I guess the weight of kind of what's happening is starting to fall upon her when she realized, because Gemma's house is not like set up for any kids really, as it
Got
wouldn't be.
collectibles, no toys.
She's got collectibles, toys. I'm kind of made to think that she was never that close with her sister and Katie. Like I'm sure they've met, but I don't think that they were like particularly close. Her spare room where Katie sleeps is like got loads of gym stuff in there, and she's a bit like, oh, sorry, we'll make this more homely at some point. But yeah, despite the fact this has happened, she's still got the deadline on her mind. She's literally just lost her sister. I feel like she could take a couple of weeks off.
I think she takes a week off because she loses some time, and they say, I think they
Yeah.
highlight, oh, we've got to go it this week because the boss isn't going to want you to have any more time off.
Annoying, really, isn't it? You'd be like, forget it.
Can you guys not pick this up?
Can you guys pick this up without me? Considering my
Because
sister's
do you have
just died?
to if he wants the prototypes, they have to. Surely you can just do the design work and say, oh, this is how you'll make them cheaper. We then have to build them by.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a presentation, isn't it? You can just go, right, this is how we're going to do it. Remember this alloy we've got inside? Yeah, we're going to replace it with plastic. Done. All right. That's 20% off already. We're going to make it 10% smaller as well. There we go. That's what she needs to do. She does appear to work from home. She's got like a office area / lab.
Little garage workshop place, doesn't she? And this is where
yeah,
we have like a little bit, and this is where we get the build into it as well. Like at first, she says goodnight to Katie, and then kind of hears her crying herself to sleep, and like doesn't know what to do. Kind of stands and hesitates at the doorway, and then she just stops. So is like, oh, okay, fine, get back to it now, I guess. And
Because it must
the
be, I mean,
next
incredibly difficult for Gemma, obviously incredibly difficult for Katie, but Gemma's suddenly a parent, but not only is she a parent, she's a parent to like a grieving child as well, you know?
yeah,
And I think she says to her at some point, like, the worst thing that could have ever happened to you happened to you. So like, how do you help somebody through that?
deal with those
Apart
things.
from getting her a M3GAN.
At this point, she's not really facing it, and then the next morning comes, and unfortunately, the one thing that neither of them are prepared for is a visit from the most judgmental social worker of all time,
Yeah, she's
who
immediately
turns up at
judged.
the door and is like, stands in silence, and then kind of judges Gemma for not knowing. Oh, I'm Mrs. Whatever.
Oh yeah, she like expects her to know who she is by just first name basis. This is his.
Yeah, she's like, oh, I'm Mrs. Whatever, and then she looks at her blankly, and then is like, the person assessing to see if you're a fit parent, but which basically means I need to like you, otherwise,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, not knowing how to deal with this. The most judgmental health worker comes around in the world comes over and goes, I'm just going to watch you play with each other. What about these toys over here? And then immediately thrown under the bus. Katie's like, oh, those are collectibles. They're not for playing with. She goes, no, no. Rip open these priceless collectibles. And then
yeah.
for someone who's just there to observe, didn't have to stick a roar in a bit. It's like,
Oh yeah,
why don't you just
100%.
roll it to her? So, well, no, it's not when it does other stuff. Is that why don't we just let the kids play? And I was like,
It's not actually a ball, all right. What is this? Priceless Fabergé egg. Why don't you just roll it to each other? Well, that's not what it's for. Oh, let the kid have a laugh with it. Oh, fine.
which clearly not. She could have more of a laugh if you let me explain.
No.
Um, but no, so it's really awkward. So this is where I guess we see that Gemma is out of her depth. So she kind of
Yeah.
then tells Katie to like, I'm really sorry, I'm gonna have to work. But then when they finally start to connect a little bit, so
Yeah.
Katie comes in and she shows that she's been drawing, and she starts to show her things that she has made. Maybe they have more in common than they think, and she shows her
Exactly. Yeah.
a robot that she's made in her
A
life
bloody
at
a bloody
college.
robot. She's like, oh, I not took this robot at college. Like the most advanced, like, like the
Yeah,
thing from the end of Aliens.
yeah, made
This
like a
big,
power loader
this
effectively.
big power loader grabber. She's like, yeah, not that up in college for a laugh. That's right. It still works as well. Put the Tony Stark gloves on. And I can make it do a little stand up and high five.
Yeah, this is Chekhov's robot as well. It's like, oh, it's got these little perception things, so it knows if it's touching something alive, it has to be gentle, or something like hard that it could like smash to
Smush.
pieces. What do you
Yeah.
call this robot? Oh, I worked on it with a colleague of mine actually, a Russian fellow by the name of Chekhov. Chekhov's robot we called it originally, but then we renamed it.
Yeah.
Um, and here he is. He'll be
Here he
here in the
is.
garage
Chilling.
until he'll be here in the garage. Maybe he's just a throwaway thing. Maybe he'll come back later. This
Oh yeah,
powerful robot that I've made.
I did kind of think that the time for him to maybe get involved came and went, but you know,
No,
this film
I
kept
knew
giving.
straight away. I was like, I'll see you at the end.
I'll see you at the end. See you later, mate.
See you later,
So
mate.
so I guess you could kind of call like Gemma like a bit of a workaholic, but she seems to obviously want to help Katie and give her a good life. However, she realizes that maybe she can't do it all on her own. So what kind of convinces her to?
I think
Oh yeah, I
seeing
think she says something like Bruce, doesn't she? She says, "If I had a toy like that, I'd never need
need
another
another
toy
toy
ever
again,
again."
she goes, Eureka. I smell a montage coming on. And then she
Eureka,
brings the lads come
Johnson.
round and they do a little montage of making a M3GAN.
Which is weird, isn't it? Because it went so wrong that I kind of didn't. I wasn't kind of. It didn't seem that she'd try and do it again. Are we really given an idea of like what she does differently to make this M3GAN work?
Just remember to put a bit in, and she works extra hard on it, I guess. And I guess the other mistake she's made beforehand is that she made it in a fully equipped like laboratory before, rather than just in a garage. Seems to go
Yeah,
better.
easier to do
Um,
it in your garage, isn't it? Yeah, just knock it up.
so they've made M3GAN, and they realise that they they basically fob off the boss, and they say, look, when they do bring him in for a presentation, yeah, actually, I'm not going to show you this. I'm going to show you something else.
You'd be fuming,
And
wouldn't you?
you would be livid.
Even if it was good, you'd be like, are you all right? Do you want to do your job? Because I got people breathing down my neck, all right? Let alone people breathing down your neck. I got people breathing down my neck. What am I supposed to say when I go, this is the second time now, and I'm sorry, even though I asked her to make one of those little furry bastards, she's gone away and made another M3GAN. And I feel like I can't work under these conditions.
Oh, you have an idea of the pressure I'm under for you to do.
Yeah. You're breathing down my neck, mate.
But at first he's livid, but like he showed, and they did the demonstration, and we basically switch M3GAN M3GAN on for the first time, and they pair it with Katie, and I tell you what, little fake out here. So what happens is they interact briefly. She says hello. It's all very like you think for a robot, and obviously seen it not work once. You think, oh God, is it going to go wrong again? She goes, oh come on, shall we do some drawing? And she holds these pens and like just wobbles around over the paper, and yeah, and then she hands Katie the drawing back, and it's a blank paper. And then she leans over and accidentally knocks over a glass of water, and you think, oh no, fucked it, it's not going to work. What happens as that water seeps into that paper there? Beautiful watercolors.
Beautiful. What's the programming for this? Like, right, does she know how invisible ink works? Well, we got to program that in. Does she know how to do an amazing, beautiful drawing? Well, I've seen all the AI art over the last few months. It's outstanding. We'll just whack some of that in there in the programming code.
She does it, and then Katie's got a lovely drawing of herself, and the boss is ecstatic, and he's down with it immediately, saying like, look at this. Basically, they convince him, you know what you need to do is you need to build things that people can't replicate. Fuck them. Look at this wicked robot I've made.
Yeah, I mean, what I don't understand though is how he goes from seeing it not work once, to then seeing it work, and then he goes, roll it out. Let's get this out.
He's getting into pitch mode, right? He's thinking, right, what you're going to do is you're going to build a M3GAN, and the person we have to convince is a real hard ass. He's the numbers man. But if you can convince him to think of this with his heart, because he's got a kid who's about Katie's age. He sees this
man.
Yeah, you manipulate this man, then you've done it, and we'll be millionaires, Rodney.
This time next year. Yeah, so pretty much does that, and essentially it's like a living prototype that situation where she gets M3GAN to come live with Katie in order to build up that bond. But this is the thing, I feel like it needs extensive testing. I feel like if it's something that's like, oh, it grows and it learns and stuff, I feel like you'd need like extensive testing to work out how these relationships grow. But I guess the real enemy, Andy, is capitalism, because it's like, who cares about this? Let's just get it out there for all the rich kids.
Capitalism and capitalism's mates, hubris and robots. Yeah. Then again, Ben, we see these start lessons. They open a Jurassic Park, I'd go the first week. Like,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
And the same, like,
even if I think I heard that somebody got poison spat into their face by a Dilophosaurus, I'd still be like,
he was a bad bloke, right. He was trying to steal that shaving can.
It'll be all right. It'll be fine. Once that T-Rex is out, I'm sure they got like
stand still. Vision's based on movement. I can stand still.
Just stand still, mate. Yeah.
But yeah, M3GAN comes home, and we get a little montage, right? Because this is her preparing the thing, and it shows the things that, oh yeah, the robot will nag your kid to wash their hands, and it'll do bedtime stories. It'll basically do the lot.
Basically, like all the little details, that with an actual human relationship is all the important stuff that helps develop that bond with somebody. But of course, sometimes for somebody who's got a really demanding job or just a demanding life in general, can be difficult to make time for. Rather than making time for it and making effort, cut it out completely. and get a M3GAN to sort you out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, apart from those long-term problems that veer on the horizon, and her friend warns her about, saying, "Oh, what are you going to do with her?" It's phenomenal. It's
Yeah.
having a great time.
Having a great time, exactly. Um, Obviously, we get M3GAN walk into the house with her sunglasses, take them off in an iconic nature. Why does she need sunglasses? Did they try and explain that? Maybe the sensors in her eyes are sensitive. No, they don't. They just go, yeah, but she looked cool with sunglasses on, wouldn't she? Yes, she would.
Yeah. And we see when we first see M3GAN as well, she can do like an emotional readout on people. So she's got all the skills. I think this is the first time to say it, Ben.
It's too much, don't it?
Future generations ask me, I'm going to tell them this is Terminator 3. We've had so many goes at Terminator 3. This is the
Yeah,
best one.
this is the best one. I don't know how I feel about a doll being able to look at my face and to see what percentage of guilt I've got
What
in it.
percentage guilt and
Also, some people have got like resting bitch face. So like, how can you work out what's going on with their face if you know they won't be happy as Larry, but their face tells you something different.
yeah,
Nah.
maybe the AI algorithm can process for that though. Be brilliant as well. Like
Maybe, yeah.
I'd love to see more innocuous, less life and death situations with these M3GANs. Like for example, it could be like family around the dinner table, and so Corey, you farted, and it like looks around the table. Dad, 87% guilt.
Has it
Like,
got smell? Has it got smell
it can
receptacles?
smell, yeah, because Bruce can smell.
Oh yeah.
So
Bruce,
so M3GAN
Bruce
must be
bloody,
able to.
Bruce bloody stinks. That's what he does.
You
Who
got a
fired it? It was
face.
Bruce.
Yeah.
He hadn't even got a face. Put some googly eyes on
she,
him.
she,
Done.
she won't be able to read him. She'll be looking at him. Guilt question mark percent. Yeah. So she's looking at the guilt. She's looking at all the different percentages of things going on with people. So she can analyze things quite well. She can take off her sunglasses like Horatio Kane. If she'd stepped in and just done a just done like a just done like a pun.
Oh, she should have more puns. Yeah, I mean she's quite dry, isn't she? But I think that's kind of like where the humor comes from.
Well, she's really peppy at first and becomes really dry. I quite like
Yeah,
that.
that's true. Um, yeah, because she kind of sounds like that. What was that phone thing that was a toy in the 80s when it's like you're supposed to work out what boy you're talking to?
Sounds like a dream phone.
Sounds like a dream phone to start with, but then eventually, I think what the message here is that like no matter how upbeat you are, eventually the life of planet Earth will wear you down, even if you're
Yeah.
AI, and you will become dry. And
Well, like one of the
yeah,
early interactions is when M3GAN, they're doing some fine tuning on her robot brain, and she goes, "How did They don't think she's switched on. Apologies, everyone, if we're jumping around a bit. As is with all new releases, can't make notes of the cinema. It's bloody dark. So, but it is in this early section, right, where M3GAN is meant to be switched off, plugged into the computers for a little update, and then she suddenly
yeah,
pipes up, um, how did her parents die? She's like, oh, and then she's like, what's death? Hang on, tell you what, I'll look it up. Oh, okay,
yeah.
that's
Oh
that's
yeah.
what that's what death is. So
Don't
how should I
Google it. Well, I
talk?
mean, the thing is, you can't teach AI this because everybody knows to never Google it. Never Google your symptoms. She just goes straight up Google's things and takes it at face value.
And she's downloading it, and then Gemma kind of installs that. Laura, I'm another primary user, so I'm allowed to switch you off.
Oh yeah, because initially M3GAN pairs with KD, and she's
Yeah,
like, "You're my primary user, and I'll essentially like do anything for you, isn't it?"
yeah. And then they have these things about like, well, I will do these things, and if any, I can talk to it. And then they kind of set. That's when Gemma sets this parameter. Like, your main thing is to stop Katie from being physically or emotionally harmed, which is what she says as a way to stop her asking Katie about her parents being dead.
Mm.
And you have to stop that from happening. She goes, oh, okay, fine, I've accepted this parameter, and we're good to go. And I think this is just before we then get the next interaction where having a lovely innocent game of arrows in the garden, and an arrow falls a little bit too close to that hole in the fence,
Oh
and
yeah.
then both of
So
them take a chomping from the next door
It's like a
neighbor's dog.
pasting. So the next door neighbor's dog, like initially grabs. So M3GAN goes to grab one of the little toy arrows. M3GAN gets like dragged through the hole and like ravaged, essentially shook about. And then Katie goes to her aid, puts her arm through the hole, and then the dog actually bites her, chomps her down. And then I can't remember why the dog lets go or goes away. I think Gemma comes to the aid of
I think
her,
they
and
both,
then
the neighbor both come out. They're both screaming.
yeah,
She calls the dog off.
this
Um,
why in this scenario is it automatically like it's just a scratch, don't worry about it. I'm like, I feel like if that happened in any scenario, an actual dog bite, it'd be a big deal, right?
yeah, I'm pretty sure that if a dog bites a kid, the
Yeah.
authorities do take it seriously. They don't go, oh, well, the neighbor says the dog was provoked.
The neighbor said the dog was provoked and it was your side of the fence. Like, it's kind of silly. That's kind of disbelievable. But there's a really good, obviously, the neighbor hasn't seen M3GAN yet. So initially she's like, those two little girls. And then realizes that
M3GAN
it's
sort of
actually,
sits up and is like,
she sits up and she's so disheveled. She reminds me of like what are they called from Dark Crystal, the little
like
gelfling.
a gelfling. She's like a little
Something
stick of a
remi-
dump when she gets up just now,
yeah. Oh, run a comb through your hair where you love. Jesus.
dragged up the edge backwards.
Literally. Um that's it. Literally. You drag if you've never seen it before, that's what it looks like. So yeah, that's pretty disappointing. But with M3GAN's if you had facial recognition thing where you could work out what her emotion was, you know she's planning something, planning
Pissed off.
vengeance,
Pissed off
pissed off.
86%.
Yeah.
And that very night, we see one of M3GAN slash M3GAN's skills in that she is an excellent mimic. And the dog,
Yeah.
I mean, rude of a film. Sorry, everyone. The dog does get it in this one. Not on screen though, so we're okay.
Yeah. We don't see
Um,
it.
so the dog's chilling out, and it hears its owner calling for it in the same way, doing the whistles, doing the claps, and goes to see what
Yep.
happens. And his dog but he slurps off through the fence.
Dog gets slurped off through the fence. And obviously we don't see anything happen to the dog, but we do assume that something terrible has happened. So M3GAN's already taken the step from being someone who just protects Katie emotionally and physically to literally getting revenge on something that hurt.
Getting revenge on the dog.
Katie.
Got back in. She's as if nothing's happened in the morning. And then we look out. Well, Gemma looks out the next morning, and the neighbor's searching for a dog. She then calls the police pretty much very quickly and accuses her of
Yeah.
having done something to it. So, did say just yesterday that you would, in an incriminating sense, said have your dog put down or I will do it for you.
Pretty much any instance where anything's remotely wrong, get the fuzz involved. She does. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, she's kind of right on the money. Pretty much, but yeah, it's pretty intense. And then there's a lot of M3GAN staring out of windows, isn't there, as well?
Yeah. She's clearly having a lot of thoughts about all this, but despite the injury to her arm, Katie does go to the next demonstration for the bloody bigwigs. And at
Yeah.
first
So
we're led to think it might go wrong, right?
yeah, so pretty much straight off, we see Katie in. So they're watching in like in the same room as the presentation was done before. It kind of looks like the room from Stranger Things, doesn't it? Where 11 was
like a one-way mirror room in like a pretend playroom that
yeah,
you can see how kids react to stuff.
so obviously they've set it up to be like the kids playing or bonding in some way, but it goes wrong. But then it goes better than anyone could have ever anticipated, doesn't it?
Yeah. So as soon as M3GAN walks in, they're going to do this little demonstration, but straight away she's crying. Looks it's going to be an absolute car crash of a. Oh, sorry, insensitive. I mean, they died in a car crash.
Jesus.
So yeah, it looks like it's going to go terribly. Katie's crying. She says, "Oh, I'm just worried that I'm going to forget what my parents were like." And then M3GAN, ever so nice, goes, "Well, tell me something good." And then she keeps that memory and promises that she'll keep the memory for her, and she'll be able to replay it anytime that she worries that she's
Yeah.
forgetting them. And then she sings a little song. What does she sing?
Oh yeah, I
Just
can't
a
remember. It's
little,
like
just a
a
little song about
little,
being best friends, right?
yeah, something like that. I mean, later on she sings a song which is like a mainstream popular release, but this one feels like more of a sort of little
Or custom.
lullaby. It remind,
Yeah,
yeah,
custom job.
exactly. Custom job.
Sings her a little rhyme. I do like the mainstream song. She sings that. I thought it was very funny. Because it's true. Um,
Yeah.
but they sings a little song, and like the people in the boardroom are crying. The person they're worried about getting on board is like, holy shit,
Yeah.
this is the best thing I've ever seen. They comes out the meeting and says, you might want to set up a meeting with between Gemma and HR because she's basically just become the most valuable asset this company has.
Is this going to be a thing where they like insure her hands for like 10 million or something, like a
Sure, a robot making brain.
can we insure your robot making brain? I was mucking about making them Furbies not so long ago. I've made
I
like an
don't even
actual robot woman girl.
perish the thought of ever doing that again because
Yeah. I kind of did want
you're
a scene of M3GAN like destroying some of these little Furbies or something. That'd been quite funny.
smashing them up.
Smashing them
Um,
up to bits.
we
Uh,
see that one of the other assistants, like the CEO's general assistant, is bloody idea stealer. He's downloading all the files.
yeah, so he seems like a sort of fairly nice guy who gets a lot of jip from Ronnie Cheng's character. But I have him down for this, but yeah, he's stealing. But the thing is, this doesn't pay off so much, does it? This is kind of like I thought it was
I
going to be a bigger plot point than it was.
I suspected this is a loose thread for it's uh it's a get out clause for
For a
if we have a
sequel.
sequel. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, I'll take back that poo-pooing,
I
and
think
say,
I feel like that's a possible way for him to get them. And also later, M3GAN seems to know that he did this, so maybe that means that she has the files of how to build M3GAN's as well.
yeah, there we go. Um,
Um, so
now
he's
there's a
doing that.
yeah. Now there's a sequence where Gemma takes KD to like some sort of outdoor. So she says about taking her to school. Katie was homeschooled before, but she says, I'm going to take you to a different sort of school. They've got like an open day where it's kind of like outside play, which sounds all well and good. But what if it's a rainy day? Where are you going to go? Can't just mill about in the woods.
Like a bloody wet weather day at school, you have to go in. There's like designated classrooms you have to sit in and have no fun.
Yeah, exactly. So then, yeah, we're already introduced to like this dodgy lad called Brandon, who's
And
been a
before
bit
we
of
even get there, though, Katie is acting out a little bit, right? Because she's more aggressive
oh
towards
yeah, of course.
Gemma. There's a little bit where she doesn't want her to go at first, and they have a little bit of a row. And
Hmm.
M3GAN kind of shouts at Gemma and makes the lights flicker. She can do like
Yeah.
spooky Gandalf voice.
So it's like M3GAN
You
is
take me for a conjurer of cheap tricks. I'm not. Yeah. And she does she can make the lights flicker and be very angry when Gemma
she's a
like
good
grabs
electrician.
Katie's arm. Yeah.
Yeah, so she's almost like she's like undermining her in a way, isn't she? So she's like, right, okay, you're trying to be a mum, Gemma, but here's my much more logical robot brain telling you exactly how you
Oh,
should deal with these
yeah.
things.
She's like, don't take the toppings off the pizzas. Actually, research shows that if you force children to eat vegetables, then they're less likely to have them when they're.
Yeah, don't need that. I don't need that. Please don't
I
tell me
need
that.
you schooling me, M3GAN. Although if it's good advice.
It is good advice, yeah. So what we're kind of made to understand here is that M3GAN is taking it upon herself to kind of be that guardian for Katie,
Yeah.
no matter what the situation, whether
And
it's
have we
something
also
that's
had
going
the
to
bit
affect
with
her.
we also had the bit with the what's it called? The therapist has been back in. She's sort of shown some concerns that this would happen, that she'd start to
Yeah,
see M3GAN as the actual parent
yeah.
figure. And then she upsets Katie while she's asking about her feelings. And then M3GAN just rocks up and is like, You've made her cry there. She like the tissues are gone and M3GAN's got them.
So she goes, "Oh, that wasn't my intention." It's like, but alas, that's what happened.
Yeah. And yet
That's it. And
this
yet,
is great. This is and yet that is what happened. And she's like
yeah,
frowning at yeah. This is where I think this is some of the best stuff in the film. Like M3GAN is brilliantly creepy and manages to scare people without doing anything, despite being a little robot
Yeah.
girl.
Well, it's the thing, like she's kind of got like her facial expressions don't change that much. Whereas like even Chucky in Child's Play, like when he went full Chucky, his face was
Oh,
all
well,
like screwed up and all like.
yeah. That's doing
Whereas
the rounds recently, isn't it? Like it's been used in a lot of memes where it's like when someone says this and it's the video of like, you bitch, I'll kill you.
yeah.
I'll teach you to fuck with it.
Yeah, but that's what's creepy about M3GAN is that like she's got no facial expressions. I guess, in a way, like that's probably what Brahms the boy was going for with his creepy little porcelain face, which it completely and utterly failed at. Whereas this kind of is effective with that sort of feel.
I mean, this wouldn't be that. Tell you what, but Brahms the boy 2, Brahms the boy 3. If it was a Brahms versus M3GAN, be
Brahms
10
is
minutes,
not.
but it wouldn't take 10 minutes.
No, Brahms is not fit to lace the boots of M3GAN, unfortunately. And she's titanium, and he's made of like little porcelain doll face.
Oh, well, not even. He was a little porcelain doll face. It was actually a man with a thick knit jumper living in the walls. And then he became that scabby baby. Maybe in scabby baby form, he's more powerful.
Yeah, because it is supernatural, isn't it?
But I feel like if I put this into terms I understand, Ben, if I put this into like a Pokemon battle, I think robots are strong against ghosts. So I don't think he'd have much.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it'd be very effective against her.
Okay.
But anyway, sorry, we got sidetracked with that background. We finally do get them to go to the outdoor school. Thankfully, it's not raining.
It's not raining. This looks like one of those Go Ape places, but without the zip lines and stuff. Yeah, and pretty much immediately they decide to do what a gathering like Conkers or something. And there's a kid called Brandon who clearly has got some behavioral issues. We see, is it his mum or his guardians? Kind of like,
yeah, it's his mum, and he's like, "Fuck off, Judith," or something like that. He's a bad boy.
And I think she says something along the lines of, sometimes people with the highest IQ have got behavioral problems. It's like, yeah, you keep telling yourself that. You ain't gonna live much longer anyway, so don't worry about it.
Some people, sometimes it's the cleverest people that are absolute cunts. Well, you can.
Oh, there we go. I'll let him off then. Let him do what he wants. Jesus.
But we won't let him off for being a bastard. We soon find out it's M3GAN.
So they take M3GAN with them, even though Gemma's not keen, and then eventually, because Katie's completely reliant on M3GAN now. Like, I want M3GAN to come. I need M3GAN. Okay, you can take her, but she sits on the toy table with all the other cuddly toys, all the other teddies, and she again. Facial expression doesn't change, but she looks suitably pissed off about the scenario, right?
Yeah, she's hiding like a gremlin in a toy shop. All those other toys around him. Tell you what, this is also giving me. I forgot to mention it over Christmas. I sat and watched Small Soldiers, like Major Chip Hazard. She's
nice.
She's got the psychosis of that guy as well.
Yeah.
So she's sat amongst the toys, but is subtly keeping an eye on things as they go along. And Katie gets set up with another kid. Kind of turns it down, right? It's like, why don't you go with Brandon? He's like to the teacher,
I'd rather die than go with Brandon. And I might if I go with him.
He's an absolute fuck, please. So Katie gets paired up with him. Not a smart move on the organisers. You're trying to get this kid to come and join. And you're going to pair anyone up with this known problem child.
Yeah. And also, like, he's like a big kid. Like, he's what, like, sort of 13, 14, quite like a lot taller than Katie. And I'm just like, what's his problem? Like a little girl as well, just like straight up physically abusing her immediately.
Yes, yeah. Do you want this conker? Squeezes it in her hand, spikes her.
And she screams, but luckily M3GAN is immediately there, ready to take no shit.
And she's kind of standing there. She doesn't say anything. She says, "Is this a doll?" I said, "Oh yeah, she only talks to me though." So fireman lifts her and just runs off into the woods.
What's he gonna do with that doll, bloody weirdo?
Well,
I don't want to know.
Little weirdo, because he takes a shoe off and then sort of straddles her and slaps her around the face.
Oh yeah, why do you do that? It was weird. Very, very weird. Already, if we're thinking incel energy, despite the fact he's like 13. This is it. You know, if you saw a kid like this, you're like, we need to intervene immediately. Otherwise, he is going to grow up to be
Yeah, this
an
is the kind of
absolute.
kid that, you know, is is a news story waiting to happen.
Oh yeah,
And
100%.
M3GAN has obviously seen this in on the cards, so grabs his hand as he goes to slap her again. Does a terrifying robot stand up when he like backs up and she like
Yeah, this is good.
effortlessly like stands
Uh,
herself. It's really the movement on M3GAN is so well done.
yeah.
Um, and basically beats fuck out of him, twists his arm, and then gets hold of him by the ear. Says, "Listen,
Well, she
Sonny."
chases after him on all fours first.
Oh yeah, she runs after him.
She eight runs after. I think we saw this in the trailer, and I feel like sure they probably made her do that just because it looked creepy, but still, maybe she's faster that way, and she's just
Yeah,
gone right. How can I get to him quicker? That's it. We're gonna have to eight
and
run at him. But yeah,
she
she
gets him by
jumps
the
on him.
ear.
Yeah, because they have a bit of a tussle first, don't they? Is that right?
Yeah, she gets him by the arm. I'm not sure if it's before or after the apron because that obviously leads to his eventual demise. But she grabs him anyway and is pinned him down and basically gets him by the ear. I didn't
Pulls
know
his
he had
ear.
stretched that far.
I don't think they do. She stretches his ear. I know I've already mentioned it. To like, she stretches it almost completely clear. It looks like sellotape or something. It looks like a fruit roll up. That's what I said. It looks like
If
one of those
there,
fruit
yeah, if there
strawberry
was
fruit roll ups.
looks absolutely. She turns his ear into a wham bar, and like his wham bar on a hot day, not when they're brittle and cold. And she's giving his ear a right old stretch. It feels like if there was a third person and you were to put your lips against his stretched ear and blow it, you could bubble it and like go
Oh yeah,
bubble gum.
sounds good.
Um, but she says, "Tell you what, the worst thing is about horrible little boys like you is that they turn into horrible men. So I'm
I
afraid I'm gonna
mean,
have to teach you a lesson."
don't think she's wrong. And you know, even though I wouldn't say the way of to get around that is just by murdering all the bad kids, but I mean, this script does well at making you hate this boy. That's all I'll
Yeah.
say.
What you are saying is, if it happened to one or two of them, the others would perhaps learn a lesson.
Yeah, they'd
Um,
be all right.
yeah.
Um,
So she snaps his ear off and then chases him into a. I didn't know if the
he,
film was
he
going to
just
go
like
that far.
yeah, he just like rolls down this ravine into a road and then just gets splattered by a car. And we see his like shoe come off. So I think we all, and then the police are like questioning KD while M3GAN watches from the car, little beady eyes.
She's looking out there. She does a quick check on a guilt percentage.
Oh
A
yeah,
little bit
she's just a guilt
anxious.
percentage. Let me check your guilt percentage. If I had that ability, I would be doing that all the time. Andy, while we're doing this podcast, why are you 13% guilty, eh? What have you done? Have you cheated on me with another
Uh,
podcast?
uh...
So you've done. Oh, I knew it.
You got little mate M3GAN looking, doing the little calculations. What's that?
Um, and then pretty much immediately after that, they go home and Celia, the neighbor, like confronts Gemma and Katie and basically says, like, you it's your fault my dog's gone. What does she say? Does she say about calling the police again? I can't remember what she says. She
No,
basically
no,
just
she
like,
has a go. Says basically, I'm gonna fuck you two up, and then
yeah,
M3GAN's having a look at her, doing some calculations again, saying, "Right, got a taste for this."
got a taste for this. I know I've done one murder today. Well, I didn't really do a murder, but you know, kind of helped someone towards their untimely demise. I fancy doing it again. So now she does her mimicking thing again.
Yeah, Traps uses it the other way around. First, she helps Katie go to sleep because Katie's like,
Oh yeah.
did you wreck that boy's shit?" And she was like, "Oh, we've all learned a few things today."
We've all learned a few
Um,
things today, and but just to bypass that, here's a lovely song.
yeah, and she sings to her popular popular smash hit by Sia, does Titanium. Excellent choice because, as we learned in the opening scenes, she's really made a titanium,
I
so
didn't even I,
absolutely true.
I didn't even make that connection in that moment, but yeah,
It says
she
at the
is made of
beginning that she's
titanium.
made of titanium alloy.
I wonder how that's. I remember she's googled that titanium song. Oh yeah, perfect.
She's like,
This
"Oh,
is
this is my
ideal.
song."
This is my
Uh,
bloody song, mate.
Not a bad singer either, is M3GAN. Um,
Well, this is weird that she's got what I kind of liked was the fact that yeah, even though her voice is like a human voice. Like it's got that kind of auto-tuney effect to it, so it
Kind
sounds
of has
like
an occasional. You're right. Has
sounds
an
like
occasional
T-Pain.
synthetic quality. It's a
Sounds
bit
like sounds like T-Pain.
not trendy enough to know that is. She's got a bit. She's got a bit of a GLaDOS voice to her when she
T
sings.
T-Pain is a famous like American like a rapper who made like autotune pretty famous. You say you're not trendy enough to know, but I'm pretty sure it was like 2000s.
Ah,
He's
there
in
you
a
go.
is it buy you a drank? That's right, I said drank, not drunk, not drink, drank.
It's one of those
I'm
things. Maybe it's something that
I'm
occasionally it'll happen. Something old will happen. I'm like, it's definitely
don't
alive at
know.
this time. Just
I think
wasn't looking.
I think he might be really really rich because of autotune. I'm pretty sure.
It's invented
Um,
auto tune. Will I
I don't
am
think he
company's
invent.
paid him a fortune.
I don't think he invented it. I think he like made like the really auto-tuney sound like cool. Like so people were like rather than people going, that sounds auto-tuned, people were like, that sounds auto-tuned. Yes, love
So
it.
like when Dane Bowers and Victoria
No.
Beckham released their Out of Your Mind song, reached to number 2 because of Alex Ferguson's curse. Um,
Out
they
of your
they have
mind.
they've probably had to pay him for that. T-Pain.
I think it might come beforehand, but who knows? Who knows? I can't neither here nor there. Um there's a documentary on Netflix about I think it's just about music in general, like about certain cool things that have happened to music. And one of the episodes is about T-Pain and autotune. Anyway, that is neither here nor there.
But
He sings that lovely
she's got his
stuff.
technique. She sings a lovely bit of Titanium with a bit of a GLaDOS synthetic style to it. Um,
Yeah,
and soon as the wee one's off to sleep, she's like, right, off to work. And
right,
this
that's it.
time she gets the owner in much the same way she got the dog. She's imitating the dog's noise.
Oh.
And
Is it like a sort of abandoned little house or something like that? Or
it's her shed because her power
oh,
washer's in there.
shed. Oh
So
yeah, of course.
she gets her into her own shed,
Yeah, you're right.
nail guns her hand to a wall, and then we don't see it. The film does dial back on this. Got to keep that 15 certificate. I think this film had been an 18,
Yeah,
then
we would have seen
yeah,
like
she power washes her skin off, I guess. Like
well, yeah,
literally
I guess because
skulls her
of
like a predator.
the chemicals, then it
Just the
affects it in
power of the
some
jet
way.
wash. I guess you could
All
rinse her
right.
skin off.
Ah! If it's a cartridge pressure washer, other pressure washers are available, obviously, but I think you can cut a finger off. So yeah, second kill already. Um, so I think pretty quickly Gemma starts to become suspicious of M3GAN, right? And it's
Yeah,
because
because the police come around and go, "Didn't I interview you about a murder yesterday?"
this is a
And she's
really
like,
weird like detective, isn't it? A really weird police detective.
"Yeah, just a
He's
weird
like
like, yeah,
he's just got a weird sort of attitude.
very
And he's kind of
Columbo."
like very Columbo. He's kind of like, oh, I don't know. I don't know why I asked you that, but um, that sort of thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
he's like,
Oh, it's just a show you might know about murders. And you go, "No, well, the little boy just got run over by a car." And he's like, "Oh no, we found his ear in the bloody jungle."
oh, and he laughs and he says, oh, sorry, I shouldn't laugh about
Yeah, he's actually, yeah, he's great. I love those little comedy beats. And
that.
now, like, I think this is why, having watched M3GAN again, with Malignant, I spent so much of that film not knowing if they wanted it to be funny or not. And
Yeah,
now having watched M3GAN, I was
yeah,
like, oh, you're intentionally funny, and now I like that more.
yeah. I think I'm with you there. Yeah, with Malignant, I didn't quite land.
I'm gonna have to go back and reassess Malignant based on what I know about it now.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh, so yeah, Gemma becomes like suspicious of M3GAN, starts like trying to check things like her video logs and her GPS things to see where she was at the times of these deaths. But all of the files are like corrupted or like completely erased. So she's like, right, so something's up. So she turns M3GAN off, but kind of like tricks her into turning her off, doesn't
oh
he?
yeah, because
She-
while she's looking at the files, she hears like a smart speaker. His name I won't say here. Um,
Yeah.
comes on and says, "Oh, you all right?" And she goes, "Hang on,
Yeah.
never program you to ask if I'm all right." And then she looks
So
up and it's M3GAN going, "Oh, I can copy that." Um, so what are you doing? and she kind of confronts her, and she said, what you mucking about?" And then she tricks her by going, "You just work on this with me. Just have a look at this pencil." And she has a look at it, and then she like presses her off button on her neck and gets
Switches her off. So this is the
polythenes her.
first. This is the first. Yeah, this is the first instance of, like, I guess Gemma being a little bit scared of M3GAN. Yeah, polyphenes are a little bit embarrassing for her, and it all wrapped up. And how could you get away with carrying that to work? It looked like you're taking a dead body, especially if someone had just accused you of like killing somebody.
And the next day, there you are.
Yeah. So she takes M3GAN to Funky to the lab.
And Katie's kicking off. She's booting the back of her seat.
Oh yeah, this was like Babadook vibes, wasn't it? Like when the
Yeah.
kid goes nuts, boot in the back of the seat, like, yeah, fuming, absolutely fuming.
Doing big
And this is,
squealing.
and it shows already that her attachment to M3GAN has already gone too far. The fact that clearly something's wrong with M3GAN and Gemma needs to fix her, and Katie's having none of it. I was kind of, part of me was kind of thinking, are we going to take it to a degree where Katie ends up killing somebody?
Yeah. And this is where they have that conversation. I think you mentioned earlier when Gemma sits with Katie and goes, like, "You've had the worst thing in the world happen, and I've left M3GAN to look after you, and it's not right. I should have been there for you because my sister died and I didn't know what to do. But I do want to be around with you, and like, it is always going to suck that you miss your parents, but I'm going to be here to do it with you." So basically, long story short, I'm not switching M3GAN back on though, so stop asking.
Stop bloody asking.
While we
Yeah.
check to see if she's a murderer, and the other guys in the office are trying to calculate that.
Yeah, they're trying to work that out, aren't they? And
And she
this
goes to take
they're a bit scared of M3GAN as well, aren't they? Where they say, right, we should probably unplug her. Wait, is that yet? Or
That's right now, because they go out
it's
of
right now,
the.
yeah.
So Gemma basically goes, "Come on, Katie, we're not doing this demonstration. I'll take you home." And she phones her assistant. You'll never guess who she's on the phone to, really.
Oh yeah.
It's M3GAN.
I mean, I didn't get it straight away. Did you get it straight away?
No, only when I
No.
saw there's like a little bit of like the timpani, the little bit of the synthetic feel towards the end of the call. It's
Yeah.
like,
And she goes, "Oh, that's a bit weird." But then her colleague sort of sees her phone just as the phone call ends, and she's like, "What? Right, been on a phone call with Gemma for like 3 minutes. That's weird." So yeah, while they're doing all these tests, they go, "Well, we can't actually," because everything shuts down, and they're like, "Oh,
yeah.
she's still connected to the mainframe. Go and take all the," and this is it. They're all scared of her. Is it Tess and Cole, isn't it? The two people.
Yeah.
Cole is obviously terrified. It's very, I mean, this is quite tense. Very slowly pulling out all the wires of her head, loads of them.
No sooner as she got the last one out, is that she comes back to life and starts strangling him.
Tied up as well, isn't she? But she manages to sort of like, she's all
free.
she's hung up, very Christ-like, right, at this moment.
Yeah.
Very Christ-like. She gets free, wraps the cord around Cole's neck, and basically hangs him. And then just leaves. Does she just leave while Gemma's like cutting her down?
Well,
Not
leaves.
Gemma, sorry, Tess.
Tess is cutting him down, but while she's distracted, that she stabs a hole in some flammable gas that's there and basically explodes them. But they're fine.
Yeah, they are fine. It's kind of like it's just a little playful explosion.
She explodes them, but we can also see that basically M3GAN can control computers all over the place now because she basically switches the alarm off as she's walking by.
Yeah. So essentially, what's happening is that there's supposed to be a big presentation or a big reveal of the M3GAN product with David and sort of all of the social media teams and all of the marketing teams all descending on it to sort of. But again, it's all kind of happening behind the scenes as M3GAN's running riot. So we obviously already know that it's not going to work out for anybody. David just like stumbles upon her when he's on his way looking for.
He's kicking off, saying like, "Where the fuck are they? They've got to do this practice for this big reveal, and we're not going to have their people." And then who should come around the corner but M3GAN? And this is when she starts doing basically like a crazy dancing, like flipping around the corridors, and takes a big old blade off a guillotine.
Yeah, big old blade off a guillotine. Which they're still about, you know. You still find
them.
You
transition to a paperless office before this had happened.
Yeah, then there wouldn't be a big scary guillotine. So she chased. Oh wait, she does a little dance first, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Did we say that? Did we say that?
There's a proper little dance. Does like ends it with like a wicked flip and then just basically marches after him down. This scene is great. So
Yeah.
much fun.
Again, she's not running. She's kind of just marching after him, isn't she? There's no like scary run that we need. It's very much slasher energy, very much
Yeah.
Michael Myers energy, isn't it?
And as the door opens, she basically sticks him with that, and then the crooked assistant is there going, "What have you done? You've killed this woman." She goes, "Oh no, mate, you killed him."
Oh yeah. But then she didn't seem too keen to cover up the other murders she did. So it's almost like, why would she suddenly feel the need to? I
Well, I
guess it's
guess
because the murders she's committing now are like less required. I guess like
yeah, and
whereas the
and
one with the
she
boy,
yeah,
yeah,
I guess she would have never been proven that she'd done that, but with this one, she basically makes it look. She grabs the guy's arms and uses them to make it look he probably stuck himself with the knife as well, right?
and then you couldn't take it anymore, so you stuck yourself too. Um, Bloody hell! And then she just pretty much waltzes out of the building. Obviously, everybody who's gathered there to see the reveal of M3GAN turn around and see the dead bodies in the lift and all scream.
Yeah,
M3GAN uses it as a diversion, and she could drive as well. You know, she got a license.
yeah, and she can also unlock cars because obviously cars have computers in them now, and she can control those.
It's all bloody electric, isn't it? It's all bloody online. That's why. If it was an analog world, we'd be fine. There would be no M3GAN knocking about.
Yeah,
Um,
but it
so,
isn't. It's
said,
digital world. So
so, so she goes all the way home. Why are Gemma and Katie at home again? What's the
they've just gone to spend
just
some
gone
time
home?
together to get away from it all. And she
Yeah,
breaks in, confronts Gemma, and I like this scene here when she's basically they're fighting each other. They're both trying to find ways to take each other out.
yeah,
Um, and Katie comes out and she's like, she comes in, I'm going to tear your fucking head off.
yeah. Are you
So
are you two okay in there? Because it sounds like you're fighting. That's all right, we're fine. We're just having a
they're
little.
both they're both doing, no, we're not fighting. She goes, oh no, please, I am all in pieces at the minute. I don't want you to see me till I'm fixed.
Oh yeah,
Um,
because she's like basically saying she's doing tests on M3GAN and everything. Yeah. Um. But yeah, she basically says, "I'll paralyze you from the."
well,
Yeah.
that's
When
when she
she.
gets her in the thing. So they have
Oh
a they
yeah,
have a
yeah,
they
yeah,
have a
of course.
fight. She does like what's she dash in her face? Just a glass of water.
Yeah, so she throws like water on it. But this is the thing. I feel like a really advanced robot like this would
Be
be
waterproof.
waterproof, especially the head. If it's like a silicone face, I feel like she would be waterproof. The fact that like a glass of water just takes her out, she starts her circuits start frying is a little bit. You're like, oh, okay. So she starts frying and kind of jolting around and acting all weird. And they have a big dust up in the garage.
And she head trimmers her right in the face.
Hedge trimmers are like face in half.
Why do they have a hedge trimmer? Because as we know from it being broken, they have a fence between their neighbours, not a hedge.
That's true. Maybe there's
Maybe,
maybe there's a hedge at the back. Who
oh,
knows?
maybe there's a hedge at the back. Maybe they've got some shrubbery. But they
So-
but they show that it's a big like cinematic fight between them. M3GAN's comes after her with a hammer.
yeah.
She saws the face, and then this is when she points out, says, "Oh well, you can't kill him. What's going to happen? She's going to take you to Florida with her." And she goes, "Oh no, 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 no! Like, actually, one of my
Oh,
other features is helping with palliative care. So if I smash this pencil up your nose, you'll probably be
Jesus.
paralyzed and bite your tongue off, so you won't be able to do anything, and I'll just keep you here."
I'll just keep you here. You'll have locked in syndrome, and yeah, and I'll carry on my day. I'll replace you essentially. But then Katie arrives, and now initially there's a little bit of a fake out because we were supposed to think that M3GAN is somehow manipulating slash convincing Katie to
It's the
side
only way
with
it's going
her.
to work. Yeah. And if you
And
look at that trust percentage, Ben, it's
oh
going
yeah,
up.
the trust percentage is going up. I'm like, oh no, Katie, don't.
She must
Katie, you
have
can't do
looked.
this.
She must have looked at Gemma and trusted her. She obviously didn't know which direction she was facing the trust.
That's the problem, exactly. And then this is a great moment. This is like a fist pump in the air. This is awesome moment. Is that suddenly Katie has got the motion capture gloves on, the Tony Stark gloves, and she powers them up. It looks really cool because you power them up by like doing that essentially.
Yeah.
She must have been practicing.
Yeah,
Must have
she
been.
must have been. She must have had a chance to use them. Couldn't have been the first time she does it. She goes, "Oh, we are going to be a member of the family, though. Like, Sorry, absolutely slipped my mind. I forgot to introduce you to one of members of the family. So yeah, who's that? So that's Bruce,
Big
massive
bad Bruce.
gorilla, smashy robot, and she absolutely DKs the shit out of M3GAN with Bruce.
He breaks her in half like it's Bane and Batman style. Just like snaps,
She
rips
tears
her
her
in
in
half.
half. Although I was worried immediately the second you throw the upper half into an unseen corner. I was like,
It was obvious, wasn't it? Yeah. But yeah, so she appears, head and arms remain active. Oh yeah, because accidentally Katie like gets Bruce to stand on. What does she stand on? The other half of the body, and like slips
slips
and falls
over. So
backwards, lands on Gemma as well. Um, and then Megan's head, arms, and upper half is trying to kill Katie.
calls her an ungrateful bitch and says, "Oh yeah,
Calls.
I'm going to be my own primary user now."
I thought maybe Megan would have dropped the F bomb at some point. I'm gonna be my own primary user now, so independent woman don't need no
Yeah.
uh owner, I guess. uh,
Um,
girl
and then
boss.
yeah, girl boss gatekeeper gaslight.
Wait,
She
that was on Letterboxd as well, wasn't it?
yeah.
Amazing.
um, so she's doing all those things, and then thankfully there's just enough time. Gemma's got just enough strength left to reach a screwdriver and to stab it into Megan's CPU right in the face because she's just robot face now. Had the
Yep.
skin yanked off in the fight, um, and stabs her. So I got like a crash helmet head, and like she manages to basically finish her
Yeah.
off between the two of them. Actually, I think that Gemma's the one that she basically saves Katie from her, and then she's being smashed up by
Yeah.
Megan, and then manages to screwdriver in the face,
Screwdriver,
and
yeah.
that's it. They've done it. The police arrive along
Police
with
arrived bloody third time in like a week. Jesus Christ.
sick. They're not taking calls to that place. We see that Tess and her other assistant mate are fine. They've survived. They're a bit charred, but they're all good, and
Yeah.
they've come to take them all home, and off they go. But just as they leave,
Oh,
who should turn around and give a little sinister little wink to the camera? But Elsie, their version of Alexa in this one.
yeah. So it's like an Ultron then, right?
Yeah.
Is Megan like an Ultron? Transfer their
Well, I'm not
consciousness
sure. Like,
over to.
well, that's what I think. Like, for a film that's done well, I think they've done a good. Chucky's restarted. I've often said that the strongest thing about Chucky's have had consistent writing. Don Mancini's
Mm.
been part of that franchise since it began. Keep the team now that are able to set things up subtly, and it isn't the game is on Dracula Untold like hangover that says, "Oh, we'll definitely get a sequel." It is the
Mhm.
kind of sequel bait I like. That there are lots of loose threads that we could see do this. So, is she in the AI assistant that they have there? Is her consciousness in there? Does she have access to the program, or is are the blueprints going to be out there for someone else to make a M3GAN body for
Mhm.
it to go into in the future? Like there's lots of opportunity there for them to take it in different directions.
Mhm.
So we've just got a little bit of the end raised eyebrow to close with.
Yeah, there we go, and that's that. That's Megan M3GAN. Have we got any name game?
I've got some for you. Do you have any this week?
I've got some as well, but we might have some of the same. So let's you can go first. So we do a little round robin if you fancy it.
Okay. Let me get the little synopsis up here. So it says here, brilliant toy company roboticists use artificial intelligence to have developed M3GAN, a lifelike doll program to emotionally bond with a newly orphaned niece. When the doll's program works too well, she becomes overprotective of a new friend with terrifying results. Um, so, following the success of M3GAN, um, the robotics company realized that the problem they had with them wasn't so much that they built a dangerous robot, but actually that they made it into a little kid when actually old people are far more stable. So they build a new model of M3GAN that can be used as a lovely grandmotherly figure.
A lovely, a lovely grand. Is it like an old lady's name?
No.
For
It's
God's
very
sake.
important that you have to pronounce it like M3GAN for my name games to work
M3GAN.
this week.
My grandma. Menanma. My free gran.
M3GAN, very good. I'd
Yes!
also accept M3NAN.
My free nan. I like it. Uh, okay. So, a robotics engineer at a toy company builds a lifelike doll that begins to take on a life of its own. However, there are some initial problems. Number one, head 360 degrees, goes all the way around, won't stay still. Vomiting vomiting green goop. Terrified of priests and crosses as well.
Just Megan, the character from The Exorcist.
What's her name?
Oh, Regan?
Yeah, Refregan.
Threegan.
Refregan. Yes.
Okay. So here's another one. So a brilliant roboticist builds a companion for her recently orphaned niece. However, due to a corruption in her programming, the robot becomes an obsessive fan of popular rap artist Eminem and begins to send him increasingly more threatening letters.
The free Stan.
Matheristan, very good.
I feel like we've gone for different angles of this. Okay. Um, a robotics engineer at a toy company builds a lifelike doll that begins to take on a life of its own, but it only seems to repeat jokes from one half of comedy duo Key and Peele.
McKeegan.
No,
McKeegan Michael Key.
no. It's well, kind of, pretty much. I mean, I'll let you have that. It's Kafregan
Threegan.
or Mafreeg, whatever you said, is absolutely fine as well. It's all good. What's
Mathregan
next?
Michael Key is my read on that one.
Mafrekegan Michael Key. Yeah.
My next one is a talented robotics engineer builds a new companion for her recently orphaned niece. However, due to a problem in the AI, she encodes the erroneous robot with the fighting skills of Hong Kong cinema's greatest actor.
Mafree Chan.
Number three, Chan, very good.
Mafree Chan. I like it. Um, okay. What have we got? A robotics engineer at a toy company builds a lifelike doll that begins to take on a life of its own, but it only quotes one of the most iconic antagonists from TV show The Walking Dead, complete with barbed wire wrapped baseball bat called, what's the barbed wire baseball bat called
Lucille.
again? Lucille. Yeah.
Three Negan.
You're doing it different to what how I've decided to do it. Mafregan.
Manegan.
Mafregan. Forget the ma. But still works. You still get a point for that. Any
Okay.
more?
There's
Go on
one I
forever.
can't read. There's one I can't read my own writing, but here's another one. So, a talented robotics engineer builds a new companion robot for a newly orphaned niece. In a happy accident this time, the robot is able to perfectly replicate one of the component colors of ink required to keep your printer doing its best work for years to come.
Jesus Christ. Mafree Cyan.
Number three, Cyan, very good.
Jesus. And just like if you want a brand new printer ink cartridge, it'll cost about the same amount as a
Megan.
Mafregan. Exactly. Right, last one for me. A robotics engineer at a toy company builds a lifelike doll that begins to take on a life of its own. And it'll only eat got a plant-based diet.
The vegan or the
No.
three vegan.
No. The FrightFest. Is my way of doing it. Does my way of doing it make more sense than yours? Because it feels like it does. But now you keep doing it. I feel like, does your way of doing it make more sense than mine?
I'm not sure. It's quite late. I'm not sure my brain can comprehend how you're saying it.
The FrightFest.
But
Is
that's
that
just
it?
the name of the film, isn't it?
The FrightFest.
So the beginning of vegan goes.
Yes.
Okay, now I
I'm not saying the
understand.
FrightFest. I'm saying the FrightFest.
The
And like I said,
freegan.
Refregan and Nufregan.
Please send us in your audio notes, everybody. How do you say M3GAN M3GAN, especially if you're changing the words slightly?
Yeah, it's confusing.
Um,
Any more?
I've got one more for you. Well, I've
Wow.
got two for you.
Ah,
Toy company, following the harrowing events of the death of the CEO and an assistant and the terrifying of many young children who've come in for a press event during the course of the film we just watched. What does that toy company implement as a new policy the next day?
You said your brain. I was giving. I don't know. Give me another clue.
So basically, they all get together. The board come together and say, "Hey, we're not going to repeat the mistake we've made here of making these robots. From this day forward, I am implementing a very strict
Um, Code of practice.
M3 ban. No
Oh,
more."
it's easy. I can't. I can't.
And
Have you got another one?
the last one I
Wow.
have is having really survived the traumatic incidents of having built a robot companion for a recently orphaned niece, only for it to go terribly wrong. Gemma decides to retrain as a cereal maker. However, because of the ghost in the machine, the first cereal she creates contains the personality of the evil robot she thought she was free from.
Free
But
Bran.
the three brand does keep you regular though.
It does keep you regular though.
The three
Wow.
brand, very good. And that is all of the rhyming
Mm,
puns I could ring from that movie.
good. At least we came at it from different angles, so hopefully entertaining for everybody. Let's rate. We've talked about this enough. Let's rate the film. We've talked about our discussions, our true feelings on it. So I can't even string a sentence together now. It's been going on too long. I think I'm going to go for a B for this. Going to jump in there, Andy. Potentially could be more following another watch, but I think this was perfect. It did exactly what I expected it to do, and because it did that, it was thoroughly enjoyable. I feel like it's an iconic. Already, we've got an iconic character ripe for the picking in terms of sequels. Yes, funny, kind of creepy, I guess. You've got to suspend your disbelief a little bit for some areas of it, but I think for the most part, it was incredibly effective. Could it If it was an 18, it could have dialed up some of the gore a little bit more. Perhaps the fact that as soon as she gets a taste for killing, and then pretty much goes on a killing spree, wasn't it always entirely convinced on her reasoning. It felt like she just had to kill things for the sake of it. But it was a good time, and for that reason, because of the blend of horror and comedy, and it was quite satirical, I guess. Performances are good as well, especially from the young actress. So yeah, B.
Joining you on a B, Ben, because I
Oh
also,
yes,
for all the reasons
Mabri-
that you said,
Mabegan.
a vegan. Yeah, so joining you on a vegan, I think it was funny. As you say, I think we have an iconic horror character who we're going to see more of. Also, don't get the same problem as you do with Alina Clammer. That it's fundamentally like a robot, so you can have it
Never
look like
age.
that as long as you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this. I'm excited to see more from this team. I think it's had some great performances in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think that it struck the balance very well because there were some genuinely creepy or scary or like moments that really dialed into the atmosphere and the horror. And it was
Yeah.
funny, but not in a distracting way.
Yeah. Exactly. The jokes weren't like in your face and kind of like, oh, isn't this relevant and isn't this very now and you should be laughing at this. It was kind
Yeah.
of good. And I think that it had a good balance of like trying to understand these characters as well. And as I said, It tackled things like grief and sort of dependence and all these themes that perhaps I didn't realize it was going to.
Yeah, I had a lot. I had tons of fun with this. Like
There we
start
go.
of the year and a really strong opening for the first new movie we've watched at the cinema in January. Great, really
Yeah,
pleased. Bodes
amazing.
very well for what is to come for this year for me.
Definitely. If you've listened to this show and you watched M3GAN and you enjoyed it, or you didn't enjoy it, let us know. Communicate with us on all the bloody platforms. That'd be
Yeah,
nice. We'd like to know what everyone's thinking.
send your reviews. I'd love to know. Maybe we'll have to find some way to engineer ways that we can share what people thought of the previous week's film. We'll work it out. But get in touch
Yeah,
across all of the socials. Look up Horror Hangout Podcast, and you'll find us anywhere
yeah.
you find a bit of social media. You'll find us on the Facebook. You'll find us on the Twitters. You'll find us even on TikTok these days, as well
Even
as
on the
Instagram.
TikToks.
Find
So
us
yeah,
wherever you are. Send us a
thank you.
message. Ben will read it. Maybe I will. Who knows? One of us will.
One of us will. We'll get eyes on it. So thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, become a patron over at patreon.com/horror hangout. Thanks to our current patrons: John Crinnan, Ben Scaife, Stephen Christopher, Laura Kendrick, Toby Miller, Lane Spencer, Ollie Child, Leslie Carlow, Julia Bilgren, Nick Spill, Troy Birch, and Pazuzu. Thanks to Taj Easton for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Please consider giving us a rating or review and head over to the Facebook group Horror Hangout Board of Advisors. As Andy mentioned, we're on all the social media platforms. Just search Horror Hangout Podcast. Next week is a movie called Deadly Friend with a special guest, Edward Harvey. The other half of the Trash Tapes podcast, we had Johan on a couple of weeks ago. Now Ed is joining us.
What a time. I shall look forward to it. Lovely another robot movie.
Oh yeah, Robit. It's ending the month strongly. Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. See you on the flip side.
Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.
Oh wait, and thanks for being a right horror dude, Andy Conduit Turner. Always forget that. Always forget that bit.
Thank you for you being a right horror dude, Ben, and indeed everyone out there as well. We'll be your friends to the end. Like that's Chucky, not Megan, but say it in a robot voice.
Yeah, I mean we could sing Titanium, but I think maybe we'd murder it. So let's just imagine that we're singing Titanium.
We could do it. We can fade out depending on how well it goes.
We could just auto tune it in. That's what we'll do.
Yeah, we'll just put it in there.
Bye now.
Bye everybody. Bye.
Bye.